Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Godlike Wolf Naruto and Hana. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Seoras and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. It was an unnaturally cold day in Konoha and for Fire Country in general, the first time in over a century it snowed in mid-August. The majestic trees lost their leaves and the small creatures taking shelter from the elements. But a small family of wolves that were being hunted, luckily they lost their hunters, but at a cost of mortal injury for the wolf mother, her pups who were trying their best to lick her wounds and surround her to protect her and hope that she would survive the ordeal. Little did they know that a similar event was happening inside the great village of the Hidden Leaf. 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki is once again running not for his life, but just from the stares and hostile glares he receives from all the villages bar the few precious people he has. They can all be counted on his hand: Old Man Hokage, Old Man Tucci, Am-chan, the Inyazuka clan, granted a whole clan, but most are neutral, but will help if attacked, and the owner of the Dragon's Den Shinobi clothing and weapons store. Anyway, Naruto is heading for the east gate, which he has figured out is the least guarded. Upon the gate coming into view he notices that there are no guards, so deciding to go for another one of his little strolls through the forest to clear his mind of things that happened to him, all the while still not being able to figure out what he has done to receive so much hate that he is ostracized from everyone except his precious people. While thinking about his treatment, Naruto picks up an oh so familiar smell of blood. His senses have been enhanced thanks to the fox, but he doesn't know that shhh. Picking up his pace and following the smell, he starts to hear whining and growling from the other side of some bushes. Figuring it could be one of the Inyazuka dogs that got out and hurt itself, he kept going to see if he could help it out. Naruto, even though young next Tsunade sort of. Stumbling through a bush that hadn't died because of the harsh winter cold, the sight that greeted Naruto was enough to chill his blood, a set of yellow golden piercing eyes staring right at him, the eyes of a trained hunter and killer. Looking closer he can see great pain, sorrow and regret. The wolf felt all these things because she won't be there for her pups to help nurture them to become great animals of the hunt, to hone their abilities and watch them grow and have a family of their own. I wonder if this boy could raise my pups for me. Sniffing the boy's scent, interesting, he smells of both dog and fox. While she was wondering if this boy could help her pups, Naruto looks into the piercing gaze of all the pups, seeing innocence, anger and sadness. Anger at the bastards who attacked them, innocence never making a kill on a hunt before, and sadness that they could potentially lose their mother. After taking it all in, he pulls out some bandages and a first aid kit. He starts to walk slowly forward without fear, whilst trying not to make any jerky movements. His actions elicited a growl from the pups, but were quickly quieted by their mother. Upon getting close enough he notices the wound is very deep and that he isn't able to do anything for her, thinking the wound, it is too deep, I can't do anything. He looks at the wolf mother with apologetic eyes, about to voice his thoughts, when a soft motherly tone chimes across the small clearing as she starts to talk to him. Child, I have come to the same conclusion as you have. Not being fazed at all by the fact that she just spoke cause he is used to listening to Kurumeritsume's wolfhound talk. Notes the sadness again, but this time in her speech. I can still help, I can quickly go get one of the Inyazuka vets to stitch you up so you and your pups can return to your pack. Now surer than ever she can trust him to look after her pups cause of his current display. She can tell he has a kind, unwavering spirit, undying loyalty and a heart of gold. Child, my name is Munfurawa, Moonflower. Google Translate. What is yours? Naruto Uzumaki. Maelstrom. Has strong name. May I ask of you a favor, young Uzumaki? Before you answer, please listen to my offer. Nodding his head, saying he understands, and for her to continue. I am Munfurawa, beta female wolf of the Northern Wolf clan. Beg you to look after my pups and train them so they can help you in battle. I would also bestow upon you the ability to talk to both wolves and dogs. Assimilating all that she has said, looks at her with a fiery determination. I, Naruto Uzumaki, understand and agree to look after your puppies, but how would you give me the gift of speaking to them and the dogs of the Inyazuka clan? Nodding and understanding at his skeptically. Answers his question. Thank you, Naruto, and I agree with being skeptical about my gift to you. To put it simply, I would bite your forearm and transfer part of my chakra to you, and you would then gain the ability to talk to my pups, and by proxy any canine you come across. You may gain sharpened fang-like canines and claws, may be enhanced physically to be more agile, yet a stronger than normal muscular build. Your senses will also increase to that of a wolf. Before I forget these abilities, you will be able to pass this to your children when you get to that stage in life. Also, I know in human laws that sometimes you can be forced to have multiple wives. I tell you this now, you will not take more than one, and in the act to him you will mark them for life. Now do you understand what is involved? Do I have your consent to do this? Telling him all he needs to know and asking if he still agrees. Understanding this, but to make sure he does, he runs it by her quickly, so I will gain wolf-like features and abilities and will only take one mate in my life, but if she dies I can take another, correct? Simply speaking, yes. Do you agree to this, she says as she winces in pain. Looking at the pups, then at Munfurawa, nods his head and holds out his arm for her to bite. Seeing this, she bites down, quickly injecting her chakra into him. Once she releases him from her bite, she saw his teeth start to turn into fangs, his eyes stay blue but become slightly more wolf-like, his whisker marks become more defined, and his nails turn into wicked-looking claws. While this is happening, his senses are enhancing, increasing his sense of hearing, smell, eyesight and taste to that of a wolf. His hair becomes shaggy and thicker, almost like fur, but still spiky. All in all, his slight transformation was completed in around 10 to 15 minutes, sped up by the fox. Naruto, turning back to the wolf family, asks Munfurawa what the names of her pups are because of their age, and that we have been on the run, I have not been able to name them, you are their guardian, now it is you who shall name them. She chokes out sadly with tears at the corners of her eyes. Well, would you like to help me? After all, it's the least I can do, since you are giving me a family, a pack and more people precious to me, said Naruto caringly. I thank you, Naruto, for this, turning slightly and calls out, children, come meet your new father so we can both give you your names. But that the pups come out from behind their mother once they are properly in Naruto's presence, they bow their heads in submission, once feeling his alpha aura, which doesn't go unnoticed by Naruto or Munfurawa. Seeing this, Naruto kneels down in front of them and gently tells them, please do not bow before me, no pups of Munfurawa or my surrogate pups will bow to anyone, as our family grows, you and your future puppies will stand by me and my family as equals, do you understand? He asked in a gentle and calming voice befitting a 5-year-old child, getting what can only be what he thought were nods from all of them, figuring they can't speak due to their age. Noticing 2 males and females, Naruto points to one of the male on the left, seeing that his fur coat is various shades of black and gray mixed together, says out loud, how about Otorukage? Dancing shadow, getting a nod from the pup and mother, he moves to the next pup, a female with a white coat that when it catches the sunlight looks like she is shimmering and glowing like the goddess Amaterasu. How about Senko, shimmering light, which gets a happy bark and a lick on the cheek. He then pats her between the ears. Looking at the next wolf pup, can't think of a name, he looks over at Munfurawa for help and she suggests Miss Yutoashi, Mist Paw, because of her black coat and white and gray paws. This got a wet nose pressed against his own. Looking at the last pup, the other male, he has a black pelt with a jagged white stripe following his spine. Naruto looking again at Munfurawa, says Shimei, lighting. Upon naming all of their pups, they gather round Munfurawa to say their goodbyes and wait for her shade to leave the plains of the living and join Amaterasu and Kami in heaven. After what seemed like a lifetime, but was really only an hour, Munfurawa finally succumbed to her wounds. Her last words were, be strong and loyal to your pack, bow to no one, and know that I will always love you. Upon her last words, Naruto and his new pack let loose a mournful howl that traveled for miles in each and every direction, sending chills down everyone's spines. Kuromaru and the other dogs in the village join in the mournful cry to say they are not alone, as more wild wolves in the area also heed the cry of a mighty lost soul to their spirit mother Amaterasu. The call was heard by the heavens as well to denote her arrival to the gods. The call was, may Lady Amaterasu answer our call and shatter the wicked souls who caused this death. May the sun burn brightly to restore our warmth. Grant upon us the power of our mistress Amaterasu in heaven, we are wolves. The howling continued for another hour, but the laments stopped after of Munfurawa's death by the wolves and dogs in the area. Tsume and the rest of the Inyazuka clan are gathered round their dogs, wondering what caused them to howl and lament. The pregnant silence continued to grow until Tsume, the clan head, spoke up. Kuromaru-kun, what's wrong? She asked gently. The life of a powerful female wolf has ended. Her pups call out for vengeance, along with all the other wolves in the area. As you know, we dogs compared to them are considered betas, and them alphas. We were answering their call and mourning her death with rest of them. Also, I feel it prudent to tell Lord Hokage that the wolves will be restless over the next few months until the killer or killers are found. The only people they will not attack will be our clan. Should any attacks happen to them, the 4 mighty wolf clans will join as one, the north, south, east and west clans. In other words, we are screwed entirely if that should happen, says Kuromaru. Understanding what has happened, Tsume calls for Kobo and his partner to go tell the Hokage of this development with a message: any who are not of the Inyazuka should not travel beyond the walls because the wolves are getting restless and will attack any who could pose a threat. With that done, Tsume and Kuromaru and any other part wolf companions follow her out into the forest to find where the death happened. Meanwhile, Naruto, Otorukage, Senko, Miss Yutoashi and Shimei are making their way back to the village, Adoru and Shimei on his left and Senko and Miss Yuto on his right, walking through the forest. After about 30 minutes, all 4 of the pups form a ring around Naruto, growling until Tsume and 5 wolfhounds come crashing through the forest undergrowth, only to come face to face with Naruto and his 4 pups. While Tsume stands in front of him about 5 meters away from his group, the wolfhounds start to circle wondering why these pups are not bowing in the presence of elders and growling at them. One of the wolfhounds speak in barking bow once he growled out. My packmates bow to no one since their mother's dying wish, you should be the ones to bow to me in alpha, said Naruto in a commanding tone as much of one possible for a 5-year-old. While he was speaking, he started to exude his power and presence, as if on Kuramaru and the other three both shocking Tsume and the other wolfhound, who finally feels his presence and bows too. Naruto then commands gently Adoru, Senko, Miss Yudo, Shimei heal they will not hurt us anymore. Still in slight shock Tsume stutters out nah Naruto is that you? Tsume-chan well you see the thing is after 45 minutes of explaining himself to her and telling her all the details because he trusts her, she understands and says Naruto I am making you an honorary Inyazuka, but because you have wolves instead of dogs, you can create your own branch of the clan if you like, you will be moving into the clan compound, because you aren't a full Inyazuka you have to come up with a symbol that separates you from us, so there aren't any mix-ups okay? Says smiling seeing Naruto's face light up like Christmas. Really I'm really happy, but can we go back to the compound it's kind of cold out here. Then we can talk about this there in front of a fire, could you please help me bring Munfurawa body so we can give her a proper send-off? Says Naruto but the last part in a whisper. Yes we can, by the way what wolf clan did she come from Tsume asks while they start walking in the direction of Munfurawa, he smiles she was the beta female and sister of the northern clan alpha male. Tsume thinking well the pups look strong for being a couple of months old, but I can't help but wonder what is going to happen in the future. An hour and a half later on a makeshift stretcher, Munfurawa is being carried by Tsume and Naruto, being flanked by the wolf pups and the wolfhounds taking point and the rear guard. Tsume tells Kuramaru to go ahead and tell the clan to gather for burial and to welcome 5 new members. Upon arrival the site they are met with his tragic Hikari Kiba and Kuramaru in the front, with Tsume directly behind holding the stretcher with Naruto and Munfurawa on it dead. Behind them is Adoru Kage and Shimei directly behind him. Behind them is Senko and Miss Yudo Ashai, followed by Kamisari and Daroshi. An hour later after the women sort out Munfurawa body for cremation. Hana, a 6-year-old girl the daughter of Tsume and elder sister to Kiba, age 4, walks up to Naruto as they are placing Munfurawa body on the pyre and says hi I'm Hana well we were cleaning her body, we removed 2 of her fangs and some of her fur and I made you this necklace to remember her by she says as she hands him a necklace with a slight blush on her face, the necklace made out of a thin chakra infused thread so it won't break easily and the fangs hanging either side of a chunk of fur. Thank you Hana I'm Naruto by the way, but you probably already knew that this necklace is beautiful, it will remind me of who gave me a pact to live for and protect a symbol of protection and a reminder to treat my own flesh and blood with compassion and love, again thank you Hana, you have no idea what this means to me and the pups here, as he says that he gives her a hug which she happily returns. As they finish the hug the sound of 20 war drums fill the air with a slow throbbing beat, like that of a heart da-dum da-dum da-dum, the sound fills the air, then the skies, as if heeding the call of their masters, become cloudy and dark and begin to weep tears of sorrow for the fallen the drums continue the mournful melody of death, da-dum 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 the whole clan begin to chant for the lost soul, as one creating an ever more depressing atmosphere, the children begin to cry in anguish as the adults continue their chant. They continue this chant till it is barely coherent all this mixed in with the howls of the dogs and wolves for a lost comrade and mother. Once the chanting is over the drums continue to beat da-dum 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 and finally nothing in eerie silence reigns over everything not one person dare break the quiet and mourning of the dead, the heavens continue to weeping for the lost. They watch as Naruto places a torch on the wood at Munfurawa head and tail watching as the wood goes up in flames until her body catches fire where the flames intensify into a wide inferno. Tsume finally breaks the silence the brighter the flame the stronger and kind-hearted the soul, proving she is worthy of joining Kami and Amaterasu in the halls of heaven. And with that said the clan slowly disperse back to their home for the night. The only person left is Naruto watching as Munfurawa the only one to put so much faith in him, goes up in flames to join her ancestors. The others are the pups watching also as their mother leaves them, but then they look at their new father, Naruto the man that will protect them from anything. Watching from the door of her house is Hana she watches as Naruto looks on at the raging inferno with his new companions. In the background Tsume is consoling her youngest Kiba who is still crying as she looks out towards the door she see her daughter staring at Naruto with sadness and something of comfort and happiness which someday she feels in the future will turn into love when that day come Naruto, please look after my little girl Tsume thinks to herself. After 15 minutes he turns around followed by the pups walks towards Tsume's house to discuss becoming part of the clan and gaining an even larger family as a result. Chapter 2. The next morning everyone is up and about going about their normal activities while Tsume is leading Naruto, Kuramaru and the pups to the Hokage office to talk about the creation of Naruto's clan within the Inyazuka clan and to come up with a symbol for said clan. all the while receiving glares from people as they walk past but quickly turn away as the four quite large wolf pups growl at them. Entering the Hokage tower, Tsume asks if the Hokage is busy. She says he is probably reading that dameable book again while getting some Chunin to do most of the paperwork unless it is important and specifically needs him to sign, so she waved them through to talk to the Hokage. Knocking on the door to his office and getting a come in as a response, both Tsume and Naruto enter with their respective partners in tow. They say good morning Lord Hokage. Jiji. Tsume, being used to Naruto, knows he can call the Hokage that, so she doesn't say anything. The Hokage with a grandfatherly smile say good morning. Also, what do I owe the pleasure of you two? In answer, Naruto explains what happened yesterday, leaving out that his changes will be passed to his children in the very distant future, with Tsume continuing on from where they met and what transpired in the Inyazuka compound. Nodding and understanding the Hokage and says this isn't the only reason, is it, other than telling me what happened, with both of them shaking their heads. Tsume outlines her offer. He wouldn't be part of the Inyazuka, just a clan. But a seat in the council, but within the Inyazuka for protection until he finds a wife cause of his instincts. He won't take multiple wives, just one, and it has to be of his choosing. The Hokage nodding in approval of the suggestion. So now all we need to do is come up with a symbol and name. Hey Naruto-kun. Naruto nodding his head. Yada, I was up a long time last night thinking about this cause. Wolves are the children of Amaterasu, and they are one with nature, both good and evil, good towards their pack and allies and evil towards enemies and threats. I was thinking the yin and yang symbol with flame going around the outside with the kanji for wolf in the middle of it. What do you think? Tsume-chan, Jai-chan, completely gobsmacked by the 5-year-old in front of them, went into such in-depth thinking behind his new clan symbol. They say that is a wonderful idea. After Sarutobi begins saying now all that we need to do is list you as a new clan, but within the Inyazuka, so Tsume takes care of everything until you come of age at 16. He said this while filling out all the necessary paperwork and asking Tsume and Naruto to sign the document. He then looks at Naruto and asks what will the name of this clan be. Naruto sits there for a minute before saying the Horingu Akami, Howling Wolf clan sounds good. Once done, the two take their leave, wishing the Hokage a good day. On the way back to the compound, Naruto asks if they can go shopping for new clothes, which is fine with Tsume walking into the Dragon's Den. Naruto sets about getting his new outfit. When he returns from the changing room, he is wearing a skin-tight black shirt with a jacket that has fake fur collar and back to it, and wearing white shinobi anbu pants tucked into black sandals. All in all, he has taken the colors of his pups and put them into one outfit, which makes him look even more feral looking too. Tsume, after arriving back to the compound, he asks if she can show him how to properly care for the pups, but she tells him she can't at the moment and has to take care of clan business, but says she will get Hana to show him the ropes and show him his new house, which is really just their guest house at the back. About 5 minutes later, Hana comes downstairs. She looks like a kid version of herself in the canon, to show him the ropes and to his new fully furnished home. After spending the afternoon together, they become good friends and they both start to develop a crush on each other, unknown to each other, that is. In the afternoon they spent with each other, Hana taught Naruto what to feed the wolf pups and general health care of them. She also helped him get settled in his new home and then spent time playing with their pups and getting to know each other better. Council meeting the next day. Walking into the council chamber with Kuromaru, Tsume sees all the other clan heads and the annoyingly loud civilian council. Taking her seat in the middle between the Aburama and Nara clan heads, she sees the Hokage arrive, followed by his two advisors Himaru and Kaharu. When he sat down, the Kage began to speak and said, I would like to start off by saying that yesterday's events have been sorted and do not need to be discussed. It turned out one of the Inyazuka pups got out, was attacked by a rather large wolverine and killed, causing the mother to start howling in distress. Nothing more, nothing less, he finished. Tsume just sat there putting on a sad look, playing along with Sarutobi's game, and nodded a little when they all looked at her for confirmation to what was said. Tsume, however, was thinking, well played Hokage-sama, good job in protecting Naruto. The Hokage then continued, but Naruto Uzumaki was in the area after being able to slip away from his Anbu and came upon the scene and managed to chase the wolverine away, thus recovering the body for cremation. Tsume then found out what he did and made him an honorary member of the clan, which I support and have made official. I will also not be swayed from my decision on this. When the rest of the council heard this, thought it was amazing. A mere 5-year-old managed to slip away from Anbu and chase off a fully grown wolverine at the same time. That was mainly the shinobi's thoughts, including the advisors, who, unlike what people believe, have nothing against the boy and are happy he keeps the demon at bay. The civilians meanwhile now know the demon child is untouchable and will have to call off the first ever fox hunt they were planning on having on the Nine Tails anniversary. But that all said and done, they really just talked about different village-orientated aspects and concerns. All in all, the meeting took about 2 hours. At the Inyazuka compound. Waking up later than usual, Naruto looks to see snuggled up to him are his 4 surrogate children. Giggling to himself, he gets up and makes himself and them breakfast. Smelling the food, the 4 pups bound into the kitchen of the small 1 bed, 1 bath, 1 kitchen, small living area house. Eating breakfast they go outside only to be confronted by the averagely large female wolfhound Kami-Sora, who gives them a wolfish grin and says good you're awake. Tsum-sama said that every second day, until you graduate from the academy, your pups will have to spend the day training and hunting with me, Doroshi, Hikari Kiba and sometimes Kurumeru-sama, along with all the other pups around their age. Smiling Naruto turns to each of them and says you guys be good and learn from Kami-Sora-chan here, she will have lots to teach you, okay? Getting nods from each then a lick on the face from each before they took off with Kami-Sora, who already started trotting off at a sedate pace. When they were gone Naruto went into the main complex of the clan compound and saw Hana tending a herb garden. Walking over to her, he said, "Hey Hana-chan, do you need any help?" Hana, who was in her own little world, jumped slightly at Naruto's voice, quickly composed herself and looked up from her kneeling position and said, "Nope, I was just finishing up." "Hey, where are Senko-chan, Misutoshi-chan, Odarukuji-kun and Shimei-kun?" she asked, looking round to see if they were close by. Naruto then spoke and said Natsum-chan told Kami-Sori that she and the other wolfhounds had to train them every second day until graduation from the academy. Hearing that, Hana smiled and said, "Oh, okay, so what you want to do?" Naruto thought for a second and said, "Well, I was thinking since I'm joining the academy in November, I should figure out what type of shinobi I want to be, and I decided that I would like to be a medic ninja like Tsunade-sama of the Sanins that Jiji always tells me stories about, so I was wondering if you wanted to come with me to see Hokage Hasan to talk to him about it. I bet if we ask nicely he will tell us a story as well." Hana was shocked he actually was allowed to call the Hokage an old man. But that was washed away at being able to hear him tell a story about when he was a ninja. She nodded her head. "Right, let's go. This is going to be fun," she said as they sped off towards the Hokage tower. When they arrived, a secretary, a woman from the Yamanaka clan named Nori, smiled at seeing the duo and said, "Hello Naruto-kun, and this must Tsum-sama's eldest Hana. How are you two today?" she asked kindly as she didn't hate Naruto, but thought he was a kind, happy and fun to be around kid. Naruto smiled and waved. "Hello Nori-chan, we're here to see the old man. Is he busy?" he asked excitedly. Nori smiled and said, "No, he's not here at the moment, but he will be back in a couple of minutes. How about you go in and wait for him? I'm sure Inu and Tora will be happy to see you," she said with a smirk, picturing the Anbu becoming a mess of laughter and completely the opposite of what Anbu were when Naruto was around that, and she remembered the earful the old man gave those two the other night after Naruto left with Tsum. Hearing that his two favorite Anbu were in there, Naruto grabbed Hana's hand and rushed to the Hokage's office door and proceeded to kick it open and shout, "Inu-chan, Tora-chan, I want you to meet a friend of mine." Back in the waiting area, some of the other Anbu, who happened to be females, landed besides Nori and said, "Never did I think I would ever think those two would let anyone get away with calling them that." Nori just giggled evilly and said, "Yes, well, Naruto-chan only does it because he can. Always lose the both of them when they play ninja tag, and I swear he has a censor ability, as the Hokage always appears after he says something to embarrass the two, stopping them from doing anything." Both the Kunoichi giggled when they heard the usually calm and lazy Inu yell, "God damn it Naruto, you're not supposed to announce that we are here." It was quickly followed by a popping sound, signaling Sarutobi arrived. In the office, Hana was giggling when the normally very quiet Anbu started shouting back at Naruto, followed by Naruto making fun of them, which ticked them off even more. Before they could go any further, the Hokage arrived via body flicker, only to see Naruto on Inu's shoulders and Tora holding his head in his hands, mumbling why over and over. The two mention looked over at the Hokage sheepishly before Naruto jumped to Inu's shoulders back next to Hana, and the two Anbu agents went back to their hiding places. The Hokage looked at Naruto and said, "I do wish you would not mess with my Anbu, but then again you won't listen," said an exasperated Sarutobi, as this wasn't the first time he appeared to something like this happening in his office. Naruto looked at the Hokage and grinned. "You bet I won't listen, it is way too much fun. But anyway old man, I wanted to know if you had anything on medical stuff, as I decided I want to be a medic ninja, that and we came for one of your super amazing stories too," said Naruto. Hiruzen looked at the boy for a minute before smiling. "You know being a medic is hard work and you need really good, and I mean exceptional chakra control," said the Sarutobi. Naruto gave him a steely look that said, "Bring it, hey old man, I'm going to be better than even your student Tsunade." "So there," said Naruto, getting a chuckle from the elder. Hana meanwhile couldn't believe how casual Naruto was being with the Hokage of all people, for goodness sake. Looking at his desk, Hiruzen saw they were sorted into piles of important Hokage only, semi-important and not important. Seeing the Hokage only pile was actually very small, today called for made 2 clones and ordered them to take the other 2 piles to the Chunin archivist downstairs. When that was done, he motioned for the 2 children to follow him to the comfortable chairs in his office and said, "I'll tell you a story, and then if you wish Naruto, I will give you a book on chakra control that has all the exercises from academy to cage level, okay?" The 2 children nodded happily at that. After 45 minutes of sitting listening to the old Hokage telling his story about his time as a young boy being trained by the second Hokage, he finished his story. When he finished he got up while listening to Hana and Naruto talk to each other about his story and what they thought were awesome jutsu. Walking to a door on the other side of his office, he disappeared for a couple of minutes coming out with a scroll that had the leaf balancing, tree walking, water walking, kunai balancing and spinning, shuriken spinning clockwise and anti-clockwise, senbon levitation and spinning, chakra strings control exercises. Walking over to Naruto he said, now I know you managed to unlock your chakra last year, seeing as you pestered Jiro at the dragon's den to show you how to, so here is a scroll of chakra exercises that I want you to work on one at a time until you mastered them, and either myself or Tsume-san is pleased with your progress. The techniques within the scroll are written in order of difficulty, so please follow them. Depending on your progress and your behavior in the academy, I will give you a scroll on your birthday, with either a medical or non-elemental jutsu within it. Okay, said Sarutobi, looking at the happy eyes of Naruto. Thanks Jiji, I promise to follow what you said and only move on when your Tsume-chan says so, he said solemnly. He then looked at Hana. Hey Hana-chan, do you want to learn these exercises with me as well, asked Naruto with much enthusiasm. Hana, who was feeling a little left out, quickly perked up and agreed, I would love to learn them with you. Quickly swiping the scroll from the old man, he and Hana dashed out of the office and back to the Inuzuka clan grounds. When they arrived back at the clan grounds they were met by Tsume holding Kiba, who looked at them with a raised eyebrow, as if to say, where the heck were you two, being sorta familiar with that look. Hana spoke, hey Ka-chan, we were with the Hokage and he was telling us stories of when he was a genin under Nidame-sama. He also gave Naruto-kun a scroll on various control exercises so he can become a medic, and he asked if I wanted to learn the same things with him, said Hana with much enthusiasm. Tsume smiled and said, well, if that's the case we should start straight away, let's go, she said as they made their way to the backyard. I say backyard, more like the size of a 20-acre block split up with various strands of trees, the odd outcrop of rocks, and the couple of rivulets lazily meandering away. Walking to the nearest strand of trees with Kiba holding her hand and Hana and Naruto following close behind, she plucks out 4 leaves and hands them each one and says, now Naruto, if you open your scroll, I would assume your first exercise is leaf balancing, so what I want you to do is sit down and channel your chakra to point on your forehead and make the leaf stick to it and try and hold it for as long as possible, she said, doing it herself to show them what she meant. Doing what she asked Kiba couldn't do, and Tsume said, Kiba, we need to unlock your chakra first. Naruto the first time figured that he put in too much chakra as the leaf blew off, the second time it slipped off his face, so holding it in place he waited until he thought he had the right amount. After 10 minutes of concentration he let go, the leaf stayed in place, he kept concentrating and was able to hold the leaf for around 5 minutes. Hana meanwhile was struggling to keep the leaf stuck to her forehead for any longer than 1 minute. Tsume, seeing they were progressing, said, when you can do this for 30 minutes or longer you can move on to the tree walking. 2 weeks later, after practicing every morning on the leaf balancing exercise, Naruto was able to hold it for around 35 minutes, Hana could hold it for about 31 minutes, and Kiba, who unlocked his chakra, was able to hold it for 12 minutes, only because of his age. Tsume, being impressed by each of them, said, Kiba, I want you to continue with the leaf balancing until you can do it for 30 minutes, okay pup? Kiba nodded and ran off with his new pup Akamaru to do the exercise. Tsume then turned to Hana and Naruto and said, right, the tree walking exercise, you need to direct your chakra to your feet and try and walk up the tree, too much and you will be blown off and too little you will simply fall. Now when you can run up the tree 10 times without concentrating. Later that day Naruto was sitting at the table in his little house. The 5-year-old Naruto was getting excited as his birthday was in a week, but he wasn't thinking really about any of that, but was lying on the floor with a scroll and pen with his pup round him. Todoroki was opposite him, Senko was laying on his right. Shimei was lying on the couch and Mitsutoshi was on his back with her head resting on top of his, looking at what he was writing, which happened to be some jutsu that he could do with his partners so far. He had 2 written down: Wolf's Howl, where he would mold his chakra and release a supersonic howl along with his wolves, hopefully with the target in between them all for maximum damage, in theory of course. His second was called Wolf Pack Jutsu, where his wolves and himself would create clones of themselves and create a large pack of wolves. Looking up he spoke to Mitsutoshi, you got any ideas girl, as he rubbed between her ears. Mitsuto barked a little, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow, and say, Jinjutsu, is that something you learned from Kami-Sora? When he said that, Senko licked his face and barked and growled a few times. So you and Mitsutoshi can do Jinjutsu, and Adoru and Shimei are more frontal attackers, interesting. I'll make sure to remember that I'll even get some Jinjutsu scrolls and some ninjutsu if you wish. This gained grunts of approval from the males and happy yips from the 2 girls. They conversed with each other long into the night, bouncing ideas off one another. Over the next week Naruto religiously kept at his chakra control like he had been, with the goal of surpassing Tsunade of the Sannin. It was then the day of his birthday. On this day he was woken by that of Senko licking his face to wake him up. Giggling he pushed her off him and got up. Walking into his living room, he saw that the Hokage, Tsume, Hana and Kiba were there smiling. He yawned and smiled at them. The Hokage stepped forward and said, "Good morning Naruto-kun, sorry for waking you, but I have urgent business today, and this was the only time I could see you, and as promised here is your birthday present," he said as he handed him a scroll. He then bid a quick goodbye. When he left, Hana ran up to Naruto and gave him a quick hug and said happy birthday. Kiba just chimed a quick happy birthday, and soon she gave Naruto a hug and wished him a happy birthday before handing him another scroll. She then spoke again, "Tonight we are having a big party with all the clan, like we do with everyone else, anyway, why don't we get comfortable and open your scrolls," she said as she sat down on one of the chairs, which was emulated by Kiba and Hana, who were soon joined by Akamaru, Kuramaru, the Himaru triplets and the 4 wolf pups. Naruto sat down on the ground and opened the scroll the Hokage gave him. Opening it, he read the jutsu he was given: Fukumi Hari, hidden needles, rank D. Description: Fukumi Hari is an ninjutsu technique which allows the user to call forth needles into his or her mouth and then spit them at his or her opponent with great accuracy. He then saw a seal at the bottom with a note: "This is a gift from Jiro," putting a bit of chakra into the seal. When he did a katana sword with a blunted attacking edge, but a sharpened reverse edge, it had a wooden handle and simple square bronze cross guard. Lying on the floor next to him was a wooden sheath with a detailed sakura tree blossoming from the tip halfway up the sheath. Smiling, he put the scroll and sword to one side. He opened the scroll Tsum gave him. Opening it, he saw a list of jutsu. Beast to human clone. Hand signs Tora, tiger. Human to beast clone. Hand signs Tatsu Tora, dragon tiger. Forelegs technique. Hand signs Tora, tiger. Passing fang. Hand signs Tora Tatsu, tiger dragon. Looking at Tsum, he looked shocked and said, "Are you sure these are clan techniques?" Tsum just smiled and said, "Just to get you started, as I heard from Kuramaru that your pups were trying to make supersonic howl that would destroy an enemy's hearing and hit them with enough force to knock them off their feet. I say it is a good idea, but we are now joined clans, so it really doesn't matter as they are your clan secrets as well," she said with a smirk. Naruto and the other 2 kids just looked at her in wonder. The rest of the day was spent with the Inuzuka family and the other clan members celebrating his birthday. 2 months later. It was Naruto and Kiba's first day of the academy. Waking up early, Naruto put on his usual clothing and went through his usual morning routine with his wolf pups. Walking out the front door, he thought back to his last couple of months. He, alongside Kiba, started learning the basic academy jutsu, being able to henge competently, substitute with a little concentration, and the clone he couldn't create less than 10. Making it onto the water walking exercise, he also learned kunai and shuriken throwing, which he found he was pretty good at. He and Kiba, even though he was a year apart, became good friends and got along well. He also thought about how close he and Hana got to one another as well. He even saw Tsum as a mother figure. Making it to the front with his 4 wolf pups by his side, he was met by Kiba, who was there with his mother, ready to take them for their first day of the academy. Hana would have been going, but with her year was a bit of a field trip. Arriving at the academy, they looked at the class roster and saw like themselves, they were with all the clan heirs from the Nara, Aburam, Akimichi, Yamanaka, Hyuga and Uchiha. There were also some civilian clans in the class as well, like the Haruno. Getting into class, they sit in the middle next to the Aburam clan heir they found was called Shino and their sensei Iruka. Most of the students were weary of Naruto and his wolf pups, especially Mizuki, after he tried to give Naruto a test with a jinjutsu on it, which was dispelled by Senko, which then caused a chain reaction of all the wolves growling at the man. Iruka, after the test, went on to explain what be happening over the years until they graduated at age 13. Year 1 to 2. Basic reading. Writing. Maths. Year 3 to 4. History. The 4 Kage, the Sannin, history of the various nations and geography. Basic science. Human anatomy, chemicals and physics. Maths. Year 5 to 8. Ninja skills. Taijutsu, ninjutsu, jinjutsu, kunai, senbon, shuriken jutsu. Chakra theory. The elements and nature of chakra. Basic sealing. Calligraphy and basic seal storage seals. After that, Iruka handed out textbooks for the next 2 years. Over the first 2 years, Naruto was at the top of the class in all the subjects, Kiba was placed in the middle of the class, and most of the other clan heirs and some of the civilians sat in the middle bracket, except for Shino Aburam, Shikamaru Nara, Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha, who were up there with Naruto in book smarts. The academy for the 3rd and 4th year was interesting for Naruto, especially after learning about the first Hokage Hashirama Senju and Sannin Tsunade Senju, which led him after class to visit the Hokage and ask some questions. The Hokage office. Walking past and waving to Nori as usual, and the now 9-year-old Naruto opened the door to see the old man sitting on a couch in the corner of the room with a scroll. Walking into the spacious office, Naruto called out, "Hey old man, can I ask you a question?" Hearing the name only one person ever gets away with calling him that, the old Hokage smiles on Naruto-kun. "What is this question you have come to ask me?" Smiling, Naruto takes a seat across from his grandfather and his now very large 4-year-old wolf pups and says, well, in class we learned about the first Hokage and Tsunade, and Iruka-sensei said that even when the first was injured, he was able to heal it near instantaneously and that he was unparalleled in the healing arts. He also said the same with Lady Tsunade, but she used a rhombus mark on her forehead that when activated allows her to heal extremely. What I was able to figure out was that her mark is some sort of seal, but that was it, and I also wanted to know if there was a way to replicate the first's healing ability and prowess. I thought you would be the best to come to seeing as though you were taught by the first, and you taught Lady Tsunade. Finished Naruto with an unusually thoughtful expression as he sat trying to figure it out. Hiruzen was in words pleased that Naruto had come to him seeking more knowledge and said yes, Hashirama-sensei's medical prowess was truly great. I think he told me once that it was because his chakra was so dense and full of vitality that he was able to heal himself without the use of hand signs. He also had amazing chakra control as well, the same with Tsunade-chan, but her healing factor was not the same as his. She was able to emulate it through the use of seals, as you said she called it the creation rebirth seal. He finished. Seeing the look of contemplation on the boy's face, Naruto spoke after a minute first, is there a chance I could gain the seal, and how do I know if my chakra is dense or not? I mean, I know I have a lot, but that wouldn't necessarily mean that it will be dense unless I concentrated it into a tight mass. Hiruzen, who was listening, said, well, for the seal you would have to ask Tsunade, as it is her own technique and her grandmother's before that. Unfortunately she is out of the village and has been for some time. As to what you were saying about your chakra, Hashirama-sensei's was so dense that when he molded his chakra, the ground would crack around his feet, but we can test it if you wish, finished Sarutobi with a smile at the mixture of emotions that went across the boy's face: annoyance, doubt and happiness. Hiruzen then told Naruto to stand in the middle of the room and mold his chakra and do it for as long as he could. Naruto, doing as he was told, held the ram sign and closed his eyes and started molding his chakra. At first nothing happened, not that he noticed, but it was about 5 minutes in when he gained a pink hue around himself. Another 3 minutes of continuous molding. The ground around Naruto started to splinter and crack, causing the various wood chips to raise. While this was going on, Naruto was concentrating, but the Hokage, hidden Anbu and the pups who were now lying on the couches were bathed in a warm and soothing yet powerful and commanding atmosphere. Continuing on, after another 2 minutes a couple of floorboards started lifting up off the ground. Seeing what was happening to his office, Hiruzen called out, Naruto, you can stop now. Hearing his name being called out, Naruto stopped only to hear the sound of floorboards hitting the ground. Opening his eyes, he saw he did in fact have dense chakra, and if Iruka-sensei's lectures were true, his chakra could only get denser as time went on. Smiling, he asked, now I know I have dense chakra, how will I practice emulating the first Hokage's regeneration ability? He asked, not really keen on the idea of cutting himself and doing it with trial and error. Hiruzen too was thinking. It wasn't until he thought, yes, that will work. He then walked up to Naruto and said, now I want you to cut the palm of your hand and focus your chakra to that point. Hearing this, Naruto groaned and voiced his thought as he did as he was told. I was hoping I wouldn't have to cut myself and be like some sort of self-mutilator, said Naruto with a pout as he sent some chakra to his cut hand, only to lose the pout and have his eyes bug out along with the Hokage and the two Anbu. As his reasonably deep cut started steaming and closing until there was no indication of there ever being a cut. Looking at the Hokage, he said, I think I can do what the first could. He mumbled out. Hiruzen, who took a seat, was thinking, that boy, first he is the top of the academy with grades not seen since Minato's. He has an uncanny knack for chakra control, already up to the chakra strings exercise and combining the other ones like Tsunade and Kushina. He also has a head for the human body and science like his mother also, and now he has this weird pink chakra that is already so dense, and to top it off, he has sensei's healing ability. When he starts learning some medical jutsu, I am going to have Tsunade come back after he graduates from the academy. Breaking himself of his thoughts, he looked at Naruto, who just spoke, and said, it appears you do, Naruto. After that, Hiruzen and Naruto chatted a little, and Hiruzen asked how Naruto was doing with the jutsu he gave him on his birthday and how his clan jutsu were coming along. Naruto listed off the ones he could do proficiently well. Jiji, I can do Fukumi Hari hidden needles very well now and hit the target 20 times out of 20 and a moving target 15/20. My Gijgnin Jin Bunshin, beast to human clone, is near perfect, being able to do it without saying the jutsu but still with hand signs. My Gijgnin the Mono Kerm Knight to Suruhido, human to beast clone, still needs some work since it is an original, and I am still not used to being a wolf yet, but I have been able to change the academy henge a little to make it work. As you know, the henge is an illusion and will dispel when the target is hit or loses concentration. Mine, however, even when hit, does not dispel. I'm using it as a way to get used to my human to beast jutsu. I also figured my senses are also increased when in the wolf transformation, but Adoru, Senko, Misudo and Shimei are all helping out. Tigijgnin Shikyaku no Jutsu, 4 legs technique, is rather simple as it just makes me more feral looking and boosts my stamina and speed a little. The Tsuka, passing Fang, is annoying since all 5 of us attack the same target. If they dodge we end up not maneuvering out the way quick enough and collide, which hurts. Let's see what else. My original Horingu Akami Hijutsu. Akami to Boi Jutsu, Wolf's Howl Jutsu, is working well, but it also affects allies, so that will be a last resort move. I also was able to make a variation of the man-beast clone, but have it, so I create solid copies of myself and the pups. Here we call it the Horingu Akami Hijutsu. Akami no Mure Jutsu, Secret Art. Wolf Pack Jutsu. Now the 3 jutsu have given me on info. Hiritsuku Kasumi no Jutsu, Stinging Mist Technique, that's going well. I can produce a mist, but according to Tsume, it reminds her of a bad bee sting, so I need to up the potency of the jutsu, the Ninpo. Teseus no Jutsu, Iron Chain Calling Technique, I can manipulate at least 2 chains before things get hard to control, and the Ninpo. Shunshin no Jutsu Body Flicker Technique is the easiest by far, so I don't need hand signs. When he finished he looked at the time and said, sorry Gigi, but I gotta run, thanks for helping me out by answering my questions. I'll see you soon, said Naruto as he used the Shunshin and left. The elder man sat there digesting what he heard and started laughing when he remembered that Naruto said he could create multiple solid copies of himself and choked out while slamming his desk during his laughing fit. He created multiple shadow clones and he didn't know it well. I figured out what scroll I'll give him this year for his birthday, and to spice things up, I'll give him the mystical palm jutsu as well. Naruto meanwhile was bounding across the rooftops with his wolves at his side, rushing to get back to the compound for dinner since Tsume said he was welcome to dine with them and not that she would actually say she saw Naruto as a son. Naruto however was remembering the last time he and Kiba were late for dinner. Man, he swore never to be late ever again. Seeing the front door he quickly removed his shoes and ran through and sat at the table just as Tsume was serving everything up. The reactions from everyone was funny as hell to Tsume. Naruto was out of breath, meaning he either ran from the academy after doing extra study or running from the cage tower after asking the Hokage some questions. He also had a look of relief and happiness. Kiba was busting his gut laughing at Naruto. Hana meanwhile was thinking along the same lines as her mother, but was also sneaking looks at him when he wasn't looking. 3 years later. Over the last 3 years of the academy, Naruto excelled in all the fields of the shinobi arts. His ninjutsu and medical ninjutsu shocked Iruka, being able to produce so many low and mid-level jutsu, but he almost fainted when Naruto one lesson showed him a perfected Shimsen jutsu, mystical palm, and Chakura no Mesu, chakra scalpel. This taijutsu wasn't the normal one the academy teaches. His mainly revolved around dodging and lightning fast strikes coordinated with his wolves, who would watch his back when fighting more than one opponent. He could also cast Jinjutsu Shibari, Jinjutsu Binding, Meijin. Narakumi no Jutsu, Demonic Illusion. Hell Viewing Technique and Kasumi Jiksha no Jutsu, Mist Servant Technique, and Viewing Jutsu was the art next to medical jutsu that he excelled at. His chakra control was near damn perfect as well. Naruto was also top of the class and a shoe-in for Rookie of the Year with Sasuke Uchiha close behind. Kiba was sitting comfortably in the middle of the class as far as grades go. Also during the academy years he made friends with Shikamaru, Shino, Choji. Over the years Naruto found he hated Sasuke because of his attitude. He also had a large hate toward what was known as the dreaded fangirls like Sakura and Ino because of their incessant fawning over Sasuke after the Uchiha massacre when they were in their 5th year of the academy, and Hinata she thought she was a little weird considering how he knew and met her father Hiashi, who seemed like a strict taskmaster but also very fair and stoic. Anyway, Naruto was sitting in the academy in his usual spot surrounded by his wolves, who were now quite large with Otorukage weighing around 78 pounds, standing at around 4'9", Shimei 70 pounds and 4'5", and the 2 females who were pretty much identical in size and weight were 56 pounds and 4'3" in height. Naruto himself was about 5'4" in height and was wearing a long-sleeved black shirt with loose sleeves that are wide at the wrists. Underneath he had a sleeveless mesh armor shirt. He also had a set of grey Anbu pants and white ninja sandals and his new leaf headband around his forehead. And either side of him was Kiba and Shino. It was about then that the door slammed open revealing Sakura and Ino. Once they both squeezed through the doorway at the same time they both shouted "Ha, I'm first." They then started breathing heavily. Then Sakura shrieked doing a perfect howler monkey expression, looks like Win Ino pig. "Have you always been this delusional billboard brow?" retorted Ino. Sakura then looked and noticed Sasuke and ran over to him pushing multiple civilians over in the process and then shouted "Sasuke-kun hello," she said as she sat down next to him, only to have to start fighting Ino for the sport while Sasuke was trying to ignore the 2 girls beside him. Meanwhile in the Hokage office. Hiruzen was sitting in front of the crystal ball watching the class with the prospective Jonin sensei Asuma Saratobi of Team 10, Kurenai Yuhi Team 8, Kakashi Haddock Team 7, and the other team sensei watching as well. So the one with the wolves is the most promising new graduate Naruto Akami, is that him, asked Asuma. Hiruzen just nodded and said yes, that is him. Kakashi sighed as he watched the crystal ball and thought Naruto Akami, huh? Back in the class. Naruto, who was sitting absently patting Miss Utoashi between her ears, heard Otorukage and Shimei growl. Senko then shuffled closer to Naruto, then looked up and said, "What do you want, Uchiha?" he said airily, like the boy was beneath him. Sasuke, hearing his tone, said in a prideful voice, "Akami, give me your sword, only an Uchiha should be able to wield a blade, not Samana from some 2-bit branch clan." Hearing that, all the wolves stood up, hackles raised, and started to growl menacingly at him. Naruto smirked, seeing a little fear creep into Sasuke's eyes, waved his hand, and said, "Easy guys, he's just ignorant. Oh Uchiha, this sword isn't made for killing, it is a special sword, it is a Sakabatu, like me it is the sword of a pacifist." Sasuke just humphed and walked back to his seat. Back with the Hokage. The Hokage sighed as he saw the altercation and said, "Team 7 is going to be interesting to say the least, and as usual Naruto likes provoking people." In the class. Iruka came and stood in front of the class after getting over his shock at nearly dying before went on and delivered his speech before announcing the teams. Naruto tuned the whole thing out and started ruffling Shimei's fur. Naruto, when the speech finished, was listening to Iruka when he said, "Right, team 1 is at this point." Naruto tuned him out again when it got to team 7. He started listening. Team 7 is Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Akami and Sakura Haruno. He was about to continue when a loud shout of "Take that Ino pig, true love conquers all." Naruto was thinking, why old man why? Team 8 Kiba and Yuzuka, Shino Aburam and Hinata Hyuga. Team 9 is in circulation and team 10 is Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi and Ino Yamanaka. Now I will leave you to wait for your sensei. It was around then the senseis all arrived and took their teams away, except for Team 7's. 2 hours later, Naruto was really close to messing up their tardy sensei's nervous system, and he could if he wanted to. Adoru turned and said, "Naruto-kun, if he is going to be continuously late, I will, and I speak for all of us, are going to choose a limb each and rip it off," he said in a deep menacing voice. The large wolf to his father-brother figure. Naruto just chuckled and said, "Adoru, he will learn not to be late." Sasuke and Sakura, after hearing the wolf talk, just shook it off and went back to brooding and pacing until she noticed Senko and Miss Utoshi looking at her with hungry looks. She then decided to sit down and ignore them. It was then the door opened, revealing a masked figure with silver hair walked, only to receive fanged grins from Naruto and his wolves that promised pain. Sasuke merely glared at him and "Sakura, you're late," causing everyone to wince. Then Shimei, the eldest of the wolves, spoke in a sardonic tone, "If you screech one more time I will tear you limb from limb." Sakura just shivered, knowing full well he would probably follow through with the threat. Kakashi sighed and said, "Meet me on the roof," and left in a shunshin. Naruto disappeared in a shunshin, also leaving Sasuke and Sakura to run to the roof. On the rooftop. Kakashi appeared and not a second later Naruto and his wolves appeared next to him with his wolves. Kakashi was surprised, but not really, seeing as he was Inu Anbu and was there when Naruto found he had the Shodium's healing ability. Naruto then spoke and said, "Hello Inu-chan, long time no see." Kakashi just laughed and said, "So you're the aspiring meta-concealing prodigy the Hokage was talking about?" Naruto chuckled and said, "Don't give me that, you know as well as I do you were there after all. Every time I saw the old man, you can't fool my nose or that of my kids here." Kakashi just nodded and agreed. Then Miss Uto walked over to him and started sniffing him and commented, "Kakashi-sensei, you smell a lot like dogs, but none that I know of." "You also smell of toads." "Very strange." Kakashi smiled and ruffled her ears and said, "Well, that would be my summons for the dog smell, and the toad was Jiraiya of the Sannin summon who contacted me before the meeting." Miss Uto just bobbed her head and went and laid down in the shade with her brothers and sister while Naruto leaned against the wall near them. It was then Sasuke and Sakura arrived. Sasuke jumped and sat on top of a large pole with a wide flat top, and Sakura sat on the steps. Seeing everyone was there, started, "My name is Kakashi Haddock. Now I'll introduce myself, then you guys will go one at a time. Okay, like I said, my name is Kakashi. I have many, I don't have many dislikes, and my hobbies and dreams are none of your business." Sasuke and Sakura sweat dropped and thought, "We only learned his name." Naruto just chuckled silently and spoke, "Okay, I'll go. My name is Naruto Akami. My likes are my wolves, you all know them, medical jutsu, chakra theory and fuinjutsu. I don't have many dislikes and my hobbies are practicing medical jutsu, fuinjutsu and chakra manipulation, and my dream a have a family and surpassed Tsunade-sama and Shadai-sama in the field of medicine." Kakashi smiled when he heard that. Sakura looked at him like he was weird and Sasuke looked at him and thought he will be useful with his medical skills, but I have seen him train in ninjutsu and taijutsu, he will be helpful in my endeavor to kill him. Sakura went next. All she really did was blush and squeal and look at Sasuke, and Sasuke brooded and claimed how he would kill Itachi. Kakashi then said, "Meet at training ground 7 tomorrow at 7 in the morning. Oh, and don't eat He then left. Naruto pushed off the wall and said eat breakfast, he didn't order it and come in the mood to work together, I have a feeling we will need it. He too then disappeared. Sasuke nodded and walked off. Sakura walked off after Sasuke. That evening. Sitting round the table, Hana looks at Naruto and Kiba and asks them about their teams. Kiba goes first and says yeah, my team's all good, we probably make a tracking squad and Kurenai sensei is cool too, she'll be able to teach us a lot I guess, Shino is just Shino and Hinata is weird as always. Naruto went next and said yeah, my team is an assault squad, I assume they want Sasuke to be the close combat, Sakura I guess Genjutsu, and if Kakashi breaks her fanjulish ideas possibly Taijutsu, and me for long range support and medical capabilities and my wolves for distraction and cover and frontal assault. Kakashi will be good as long as the council haven't threatened him to focus solely on the Uchiha. Hana, who graduated to Chunin earlier in the year, smiled at them both and went back to eating their dinner while their partners played around outside. Soon walked in and they started talking about where their ninja careers would lead them. The next day. At the training grounds, Naruto and his teammates were sitting around waiting for their sensei for around 2 hours. The only reason no one was complaining was because Sakura asked Naruto if he knew who their sensei was, as hard as it was to admit for her. Naruto was way smarter. Naruto then explained that he used to be the Hokage's guard and that unless it wasn't a mission above C rank, he would turn up late. He also, having a feeling that they both didn't eat, gave them a bento box each, which they were grateful for, not that Sasuke admit and Sakura wouldn't, but he could tell they were happy. He also said that they might as well get some extra sleep or warm up, but in the end they all had a little snooze. While they were snoozing, Naruto looked at Shimei and Misuto and did a couple of hand signs and they took off into the forest to the left. He then did the same with Adoru and Senko, who went off in the opposite direction. Naruto leant back and closed his eyes, but not before 20 clones popped into existence and ran off, setting up numerous traps for their sensei. About 10 minutes later, each of the clones dispelled one by one, giving him all the information he needed to know. Sitting up, he opened his eyes in time to see Kakashi appear. Waking up his teammates so they could hear the rules for the test, Kakashi then began to explain the bell test. When he finished, he set down a clock and said, you have till midday in 2 hours to get the bells, and the test will begin when I say start. Waiting for a dramatic pause, he said, and begin. All 3 of the genin disappeared into the forest and concealed themselves well. Sakura and Sasuke suppressed their chakra and Naruto used Kakuramino no Jutsu magic cloak of invisibility technique to blend in perfectly with the background of the forest. In the clearing, Kakashi spreads his senses well, they're good at concealing themselves. Let's see, Sakura is in the bush over to my left, Sasuke up in the tree in front of me, and now where are you? Naruto very good using the Kakuramino no Jutsu, but why is it that I knew something was up when I didn't see his wolves? They have set themselves up all around me, he thought ahead, and if I'm correct, then he may have figured the test out, which also hint at the bentos I saw. So you are just like Kushina and Minato sensei. He then created some clones that appeared in the forest near Sasuke and Sakura. Hanan fights for Sasuke and Sakura, but after the Kakashi clone dispels, a Naruto clone helps them out. With Naruto seeing his teammates easily dispatched by their sensei, Naruto sends out a high-pitched whistle that only his wolves can hear to attack. He himself jumped out of the forest and confronted the real Kakashi and said, you know sensei, this is a little unfair, not because you took out my teammates that my clones are healing and helping as we speak, but you have to remember I am a medic, not a fighter, and I need to follow the laws Lady Tsunade created. Kakashi, who was listening, smiled under his mask, hearing that he was working with his team by doing his role as a medic, but not being a medic himself, he wasn't up to date with these rules, so he asked, so Naruto, can you tell me these rules? Also, isn't I that is at a disadvantage, seeing as I can now sense your partners around me now, he said. Naruto smiled and said, I'll tell you. Rule 1. No medic ninja shall ever stop medical treatment until the lives of their party members have come to an end. Rule 2. No medic ninja shall ever stand on the front lines. Rule 3. No medic ninja shall ever die until they are the last of their platoon. Rule 4. Only those medic ninja who have mastered the strength of 100 technique of the ninja art creation rebirth are permitted to discard the above mentioned laws. And I agree with you on the last point as well. I do have you outnumbered, but we wouldn't be able to hold against you for the simple reasons: 1. You're faster and stronger, 2. You have more experience, and 3. My taijutsu revolves around dodging. My ninjutsu is practically useless, as you would either copy it or would overpower it with your own jutsu. My fuinjutsu isn't at combat level, and if I used my wolves, you would use your summons to counteract them. Really, I lose, you win. The real reason behind the test though is teamwork, so if you want to be a good sensei I can agree to a spar, but otherwise I think I'll hedge my bets on my teamwork theory and pass that way, he finished. Kakashi just stood there while Naruto analyzed and picked apart everything, and he was completely right as well. He then chuckled to himself and said, "You are truly one in a generation prodigy, aren't you? You're completely right, though the test was to test your teamwork, and you pass, because not only did you figure it out, you also had your clones help your teammates, but I would like to see your skills, so let's have a friendly spar heh," said Kakashi, putting his book away. Naruto got into a loose stance that would allow him to move and dodge at a moment's notice. Seeing Kakashi charge at him at reduced speeds, he managed to dodge reasonably easily and quickly ran through 2 hand signs Torina and launched 5 needles from his mouth, surprising Kakashi as he dodged them with no effort and pressed the attack again. This time Naruto was forced to block, which was the wrong move, as he swore he heard his entire arm creak under the pressure of it. Jumping away and creating room, he did 2 more hand signs and said Ninpo. Dakujiri, ninja art. Poison fog, and breathed out a large poisonous fog, making Kakashi retreat underground where it was safe. Letting the fog dissipate, Naruto jumped up into a branch, guessing Kakashi would try and do what he did to Sasuke. Not being able to locate Naruto, Kakashi emerged from the ground and said, "You weren't just helping your teammates after the fights, were you?" Naruto just shook his head and said, "No, I was watching how you fought, but unfortunately all I learned was that you were faster and stronger, and to top it off you weren't being serious, but it helped as you probably tried the same tactic you did on Sasuke." Kakashi nodded and threw some kunai at Naruto, who jumped out the way. Naruto was then quickly engaged in a taijutsu fight, cursing the whole time before whispering just loud enough so his sensei could dodge without being seriously hurt, seeing as it was only a friendly spar ninpo. Hiritsuku Kasumi no Jutsu, stinging mist technique. Hearing it, Kakashi had enough time to move, but he did get some of the stinging mist on his shirt sleeve, creating a hole in it. Kakashi then said Jinjutsu. Shibari, paralyzing Naruto so he couldn't move. Kakashi walked over to him, ruffled his hair and said, "You really are good, but if you used your wolves, it may have been a different outcome. Well, I may have had to increase my speed to that of a high Chunin instead of low Chunin," he said. Naruto just nodded and said yes. "Can you now undo the Jinjutsu, as I know you can't undo it, since it is a paralysis technique?" Kakashi chuckled and undid it for him and said, "Well, let's tell Sasuke and Sakura the good news then. Oh, and before I forget, the third wants to talk to you after this." Naruto just nodded and followed his new sensei. Back at the posts in front of the memorial stone, Kakashi told them they all passed thanks to the teamwork shown and Naruto figuring out the meaning of the test. He then went and looked at the stone and said, "Do you know what the stone is?" They all looked at him weirdly until Naruto spoke. "Tsume and Hana told me about it, something to do with our village heroes." Kakashi nodded and said they're a special type of hero, though they are all Kia. This caused the group to gasp a little. Kakashi then said, "Our village is founded on the will of fire and teamwork, so remember this: those that break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their comrade are worse than scum, just remember that." He finished before disappearing, quickly followed by a smirking Sasuke and a starry-eyed Sakura. Naruto, though, walked over to the stone and looked for anyone with the name Uzumaki to give him a hint as to who his parents might be. Kneeling in front of the stone, he scanned down each line until he came to the 10th October 13 years ago. One name that stood out from all the others: it read Elite Jonin Kushina Uzumaki. Seeing as that was the only name on the list of names, he deduced that it had to be his mother. Staying in his knelt position, he cried for the first time in 10 years. But the Hokage. After getting the reports of all the Jonin, Tsume Yuzuka walked through the door of his office and sat down. Hiruzen then said, "He isn't here, which is weird. Hold on, I'll get out my crystal ball and look for Hiruzen." On the outside, looked calm, on the inside was a whole other story. He was near freaking out. Today was the day he told Naruto about the 9 tails sealed in him. Tsume and Hiruzen, both looking at the crystal ball, found Naruto kneeling in front of the memorial stone crying, already knowing why he looked at Tsume and said he had to take after his parents in the brains department, didn't he? But this may make it easier to tell him. Tsume looked at Naruto crying and thought, "Kushina, Minato, give him strength, you would be so proud of him. He is everything you said he was going to be." She looked at the weathered cage and nodded, and both of them sunshine to the memorial stone. Kakashi, who forgot to tell the Sandium something, returned only to see Naruto knelt in front of the memorial stone crying, then remembering his name was on it, paled a little and took off to the memorial stone as well. At the memorial stone, the wolves, seeing their partner crying, went over to him and started trying to comfort him in any way they could. It was then that the Hokage and Tsume arrived. Tsume, letting her maternal instincts kick in, pulled Naruto into a hug and told them the third would explain everything. Calming down, Naruto looked at the Hokage and said, "Gigi, is she really?" Sarutobi nodded his head. "Yes, Naruto, she was your mother, but know this: during her pregnancy and when she first heard that she was going to be having you, she was the happiest I had ever seen her. She, just like you, was like a granddaughter to me. It broke my heart to see her lying on the ground, cold, void of life, holding you close to her. But there is another thing you must know. I'm sure you know about the seal on your stomach." All he got was a nod. "And you know about seals. Can you tell me about the seal on your stomach?" Naruto sighed and croaked out, the seal on my stomach is called the Shikifjin, dead demon consuming seal, which summons the Shinigami and when completed takes the soul of the user, combined with the Haki no Fukin Shiki, a trigram sealing technique, which is 2 Shishmfukin, 4 symbol seals, merged together. The Shiki Fujin was used to store something powerful inside, and the Haki no Fuin Shiki is used to hold it inside. Half of the seal converts something, and the other half takes my chakra to keep the seal active. You don't mean wait, it's so simple. My birthday is the day the Kyuubi attacked, so the seal on my stomach hold the Kyuubi no Kitsune, therefore making me a Jinchuriki, a human sacrifice. Good thing I know how the seal works, sort of, otherwise I might have thought I was a demon. Heh. I have one question though, finished Naruto as he stood up, leaving the warm motherly hug he was getting from Tsume. Hiruzen smiled and thought, thank the Kamigami, he is a genius on par with his father. He then said, and your question my boy, he asked. Well, now I know that I am a Jinchuriki, why me? He asked. Hiruzen then said, well, according to what the Yondium said before the sealing, he said that a newborn was needed as their chakra coils were still pliable and could grow steadily over time to accommodate the extra chakra from the demon, that and you were the only newborn born that day. Naruto just shrugged, hearing that, figuring it was something like that. He then said, now I know my mother, do you have any photos or anything that she may have left for me? Oh, and who is my father? I guess he may have died that night as well, said Naruto. Hiruzen smiled sadly and said, I have some of her belongings sealed up in my office, but you have something of hers already. It's Akabari, she had it made and was going to pick it up the day after the Kyuubi attack, and as to your father, I promised him on his dying wish that I would tell you until you received the rank of Jonin or Chunin, or when you become 18, he said. Naruto nodded at what he said and grabbed his blade out and held it close and smiled before saying, this is her way of protecting me even from the afterlife. Later that evening. In his living room, he placed the 3 pictures of his mother on his mantelpiece above a small fireplace. He then sat down and started reading a medical scroll he was reading, while a clone read through a sealing scroll and book written by someone with the initials Minnesota. Chapter 4. 1 month later. Standing in the missions assignment room, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura and their sensei Kakashi were waiting for the third, who was handing out missions in the missions room. Next to him was Iruka, who was assisting him with said task. Picking up a piece of paper, the third looked at the missions. He then spoke, Team 7, your mission, we have several available tasks, among them babysitting, helping with the groceries, gardening. He was about to continue when he looked up only to hear Sakura shouting, give us a real mission, not kid stuff and chores, you old coot. Hearing this, Naruto sighed, she's got a point, but did she have to go about it by trying to deafen him? Well, that's a given. He then looked at Sasuke, him too, he really needs to rein in his emotions, I can read him like a book. Hiruzen chuckled along with the other staff members in the room and explained the mission ranking system. These jobs are divided into difficulty ranks of S, A, B, C and D and then given to ninja based on their ability. If the mission is completed successfully, the client will then pay the village. The easiest and least deadly jobs are given to the genin, these are called D rank. The D rank missions also help to build teamwork skills among the new Ninja Academy graduates. B rank are therefore non-combat with low pay. The C-rank missions will be given to Chunin and skilled genin. These include protective escorts and missions with some chance of bodily harm. It can include capturing wild animals and mine clearing. B-rank missions will be given to special jounin and Chunin. These also include protective escort, gathering foreign intelligence and killing of ninja. Open battle is generally not an issue during this mission type. The next highest rank missions, A rank, are given to jounin and special jounin. These include vital missions between nations, escorting VIPs, and maneuvers against offensive ninja forces. Thus these missions will almost always involve combat and risk of death. At the highest and most dangerous is S rank, given to jounin. These missions include assassination of important persons, transporting classified documents and materials. With the extreme danger comes a very high rate of pay. When he finished, he looked up to see Naruto leaning against a wall talking with Anbutora, Sasuke glaring at the ground, and Sakura staring at Sasuke, and Kakashi said, I think they are ready, Lord Hokage, so who's the client? Said a curious Kakashi. Hiruzen smirked around his ever-present pipe, don't be so impatient, Tazuna please come in now, he said. As he did, the Team 7 looked to the door on the left of the room. As it opened, an old man walked through holding a bottle of sake. He had grey hair, spectacles with a large beard and dark eyes. He wore a sleeveless V-neck shirt with an obi, pants and a pair of sandals. He was also carrying a towel around his neck and wore a pointed hat on his head. Seeing his escort, said, what is this, a bunch of snot-nosed kids? He then took a swig of his drink and leant against the doorframe and said, you expect me to believe you are ninja? One looks ready to commit seppuku. Another looks like a man dressed in drag, and the kid with the wolves looks like he couldn't fight a child. As he said that, Naruto's wolves started to growl, and Odorokage said, grrrh, listen here, you sorry excuse for a human being. You don't get how shinobi teams work, do you? Our master is the team's medic, he isn't expected to fight unless it is a last resort. The others are to do the fighting. Oh, and being medic means that while we travel he will be sticking to like a fly. Grrrh, said Adoru with a wicked snarl at the end. Shimei was about to continue on when Naruto spoke. Adoru, calm, he is just a civilian, do not let your anger cloud your judgment. Azuna-san, do not insult a wolf or his family cause next time it may end messily for you, he said in a condescending tone at the end, making Tazuna gulp. Kakashi sighed and said, Naruto, you're not supposed to threaten the client. Naruto nodded and appeared by his sensei's side. Bending over his shocked Tazuna spoke, my name is Tazuna, I am a master bridge builder and I must return home to my country. I am building a bridge there that will change our world and I expect you to get me there safely, even if it means giving up your life. With that he left saying meet me at the gate in 1 hour. Sakura stuck her tongue out at his back, Kakashi sighed and said he sure does have a way with words. Naruto didn't say anything and Sasuke humphed. They were then interrupted by Hiruzen, who said your mission is to guard and protect Azuna to wave, then guard him while he builds his bridge. He paused, getting nods all round. Kakashi then said right to the gate, seeing as we have everything. At the gate. Seeing Tazuna they all walked up to him and they headed off. As they left Naruto said first time leaving the village walls, thought it would have more appeal to it. Sakura who heard said really. Naruto then turned and said well, actually I would go into the forests, but I could always hear people talking on the other side, but this will be the furthest me and the pups have gone. Azuna also heard him said I have to rely on people who haven't been out of the village before, what a joke. Kakashi chuckled and said well no need to worry, they have studied the topography of every nation and are well in advance for their age in the shinobi arts, and if we run into any big trouble I'm a jonin so no need to worry. Tazuna just humphed and started walking. Sometime later. Sakura spoke, say Mr. Tazuna. What was all he said? Ignoring his rudeness she continued, your country the land of waves, right? Yeah, what of it, was his curt reply as they walked down the path. Well, don't they have ninja there too, was her question. Before Tazuna could answer Kakashi did and said no, there are no ninja in the land of waves, but in other countries there are other hidden villages with different customs. To the people of the elemental nations the existence of shinobi villages means strength, military strength, this is how major nations protect themselves and keep the balance of power, but there are 5 great nations: fire, water, cloud, earth and wind, only the leaders of the villages in these nations are the named Kage. The Hokage, Mizukage, Reikage, Tsuchikage and Kazekage, the 5 shadows that reign over 1000s of ninja. She finished. So the old geezer in the Hokage seat isn't just powerful, but he has influence and is a big deal, thought Sakura. Kakashi then said, but you shouldn't be worried about other ninja in a C-rank mission, though more like common bandits. Walking along with Tazuna in the middle with Naruto next to him on his right and Sakura on the left and Sasuke leading the way and Kakashi-sensei taking up the rear, the 4 wolves spread out up ahead of them, Shimei on the path about 100 yards ahead and the other 3 wolves in the surrounding forest looking for any ambush. They then heard Shimei howl eerily, causing Tazuna to shiver and the other to remember 7 years ago when they heard the mass howling of a pained animal. Naruto put his hand and said stop. Shimei found a Jinjutsu up ahead, proceed with caution. Heading to where Shimei sensed the Jinjutsu, Team 7 and Tazuna walked past. As they walked past 2 figures appeared out of a puddle, only to be surrounded by 4 large wolves, with their fangs bared. As they were about to jump away, Kakashi appeared and knocked the 2 out and proceeded to tie them to a tree. After tying them up, he gave each wolf a pat and Naruto chucked them a chunk of meat each that they started mauling. Kakashi started speaking, their Chunin from the village hidden in the mist and they aren't known to give up no matter the sacrifice. One of the demon brothers spoke, how did you know of the ambush? Kakashi chuckled a little, the wolf that howled earlier told us, you see these wolves aren't ordinary. Kakashi turned to Naruto and said, you know everything there is to know about the human body, can you get them to talk? Naruto smirked and let his hand become engulfed in a pink hue after activating his chakra scalpels and said, it goes against everything a medic stands for, but I can make the exception if it means we have more information to go off and it reduces the chance of a fatality, he said in a voice void of emotion. He then walked over to the nearest one and plunged his scalpel-ed hand into his shoulder where there is a juicy cluster of nerves. Those who sat there seeing he didn't get a reaction, Naruto attacked his first lumbar and sacral nerves at the same time, making the man scream in pain. Naruto stood and said, I have some very sensitive nerves that will put you in much pain, now tell us who do you work for and I will heal you up as good as new. Gozu, who was a whimpering mess, nodded and his partner just watched shocked at how quick his bro was brought down to his current level. Kakashi wasn't disturbed and looked on Sasuke and Sakura had to turn away on case they lost their lunch. Gozu then spoke, we work for Gato who hired our boss Abusa to off the bridge builder, please that's all I know, make the pain stop. Looking at his sensei Kakashi nodded and Naruto went about healing Gozu so he wasn't in pain. Kakashi, while Naruto was healing Gozu, interrogated Tazuna who spilled everything to him. In the end he asked the genin for what they thought. Naruto said he would go just so he could heal anyone who was sick and to possibly put a stop to Gato's men. Sasuke said he wanted to test himself and pointed out how bad it would look if they just turned away a client, and Sakura agreed with Sasuke, but secretly she was going for possibly the same reasons as Naruto, not that she would be much help. Kakashi then said, well Tazuna, there you have it, we will see this mission through then. Tazuna was just beside himself with happiness. In a gloomy forest shrouded in mist, a cone-shaped treehouse resided. Inside the building we see a Gato with a bodyguard facing Zabuza Mamachi and 3 kneeling missing Kiri ninja. He started shouting, you failed, what is this amateur night? I put out big money for you, I thought you were supposed to be hotshot assassins. Zabuza, hearing enough, grabs the handle of his sword and levels it with Gato's throat and tell him to stop whining and says, this time I will go personally and this sword will be the last thing they ever see. Gato then stutters, are you sure about that? Tazuna has a high-level ninja guarding him, and since your first attempt failed, they will be expecting more attacks, we'll take someone with very advanced skills. Who do you think you're dealing with? I am Zabuza Mamachi, demon of the hidden mist, was Zabuza's retort. On a boat going over mist-shrouded waters they are headed for the land of waves. Naruto then whined, this fog is so thick I can't see a thing. The others ignored him and stayed in their positions. Then the boatman spoke, the bridge isn't far now. Our destination is just up ahead now, the land of waves. Just as he finished speaking, the bridge came into view. Whoa, nice bridge, it's huge, said Sakura quietly to Kakashi, who was sitting next to her. 5 minutes later on shore. Walking down another path in the same formation as before came to a lakeside that the trail followed when Miss Yuto came bounding out of the bushes and howled, calling the others, and said, Naruto-chan, I caught a glimpse of someone shadowing you guys, but when I investigated they substituted with a white rabbit. Hearing that, Kakashi said, alright guys, be careful, as he said that the other wolves bounded out of the undergrowth as well and stood either side of Naruto. It was then that his sharp ear picked up a whirring sound. Looking in the direction he saw a huge sword flying at them and shouted, get down. As he did he tackled Tazuna. The wolves flattened themselves to the ground, Kakashi pulled Sakura down and Sasuke hit the deck. Looking up they saw a huge sword stuck in a tree with Zabuza in his Kaukemo gear. No wonder the brothers failed, it's the copy ninja from the village hidden in the leaves, Kakashi of the Sharingan. When Kakashi saw him, that must be well if it isn't Zabuza Mamachi, Rouge ninja from the village hidden in the mist. Naruto and his wolves along with Sakura and Sasuke took up a defensive positions around Tazuna. Kakashi then said to his genin, don't get involved in this guy is in a whole other league to the last time, and if he's our opponent, I'm going to need this. He said, lifting his headband revealing his Sharingan. When Zabuza saw it he said, Kakashi of the Sharingan, did I get that right? And I get to see the Sharingan right off the bat, I'm honored, it's too bad, but you'll have to hand over the old man. Sakura then butted in and asked, what is the Sharingan that everyone keeps talking about? Naruto replied for his sensei so he could concentrate and said the Sharingan literally means copy we lie, is the Denjutsu Kekkei Genkai of the Uchiha clan that appears selectively among its members. It is regarded as one of the 3 great ninjutsu superscript 3s, Sandai-Denjutsu, the others being the Byakugan and the fabled and mythical Rinnegan. Again, the blessed eyes of the Uchiha clan, and Uchiha has to experience a powerful emotional condition with regards to a person precious to them. Their brain releases a special form of chakra that affects the optic nerves, transforming the eyes into Sharingan. For that reason the Sharingan is described as an eye that reflects the heart, AY superscript 3, Kokoro o Itsusu Hitomi, according to the first Hokage. Often, as per the Uchiha's so-called curse of hatred, according to the second Hokage and Madara Uchiha, this emotion is a negative one, brought on by stress or loss. However, the emotion can also be positive, driven by a desire to protect or reunite with a loved one. But there are 2 aspects to the eye and so much more, but either me, Sasuke or Kakashi-sensei can tell you that later, as I don't want to give Zabuza an edge in this fight. He finished smiling at Sakura. Zabuza then spoke up again, you got it right boy, but you only scratched the surface of it. The Sharingan can analyze an opponent's technique and copy it down to the smallest detail. Then an ominous mist rolled in. As for you Kakashi and the assassination unit of the hidden mist, we had a standing order to destroy you on sight. Your profile was in our bingo book, it called you the man who copied over 1,000 jutsu, Kakashi the copy ninja. Zabuza then said, ninja art. Hidden mist jutsu, and then the mist thickened obscuring everyone's sight. Cannon fight, but Naruto stays back and guards Tazuna with the wolves while Sakura distracts and Sasuke attacks. Leaning against a tree with kunai sticking out of him, Kakashi is about to deal a killing blow when 2 needles hit him in the neck, killing him. When Zabuza hit the ground, Naruto appears next to him and checks for a pulse, as does Kakashi. They then look up and see a hunter from the hidden mist, taking in her appearance of the standard Kurigakure pinstriped outfit which stopped at her knees. Over this she wore a green haori with white trimmings and around her waist, a brown sash with a fringe trail wrapped around his waist twice. She also wore light brown platoon sandals with straps in the same color as her kimono and nail polish on her fingernails and toenails in matching blue-green color. On her face wore a hunter ninja mask on top of her forehead protector, which was white with thin curved eye holes and a red wavy design in place of the mouth, as well as the Kurigakur symbol etched in the top. Her hair was in a bun with two long strands framing her masked face. Naruto stood up and said he's dead, he has no pulse or anything. Stepping back, Naruto and Kakashi allow the hunter near the body. When she reaches the body, she quickly grabs it and disappears. Seconds later, Naruto, damn it, why didn't I see Hunter? Don't take the body, they dispose of it. Sasuke then said, what are you talking about, Naruto? Turning to his teammates, and Sensei said he was in a death-like trance. You see, if you hit certain points in the body you can put people to death, but bring them back minutes later, once the enemy has passed. It was used a lot in the wars. Zabuza is still alive. When he finished, Kakashi collapsed, prompting Naruto to run over to him and run a quick diagnostic over him. Before sighing, he's fine, he just overdid it a little, he has mild chakra exhaustion. He should be right as rain. Once I do this Chakura Tenso no Jutsu, chakra transfer technique. Holding a half-ram sign, he placed a hand on Kakashi's chest and watched as his chakra fed into Kakashi. A minute later, Kakashi sat up, said thanks Naruto. They then went to Tazuna's house where they would be staying. Somewhere in the forest. The hunter is kneeling over Zabuza and said, first I'll cut the bandage and drain some of the blood. As she was about to reach for his bandages, Zabuza's hand grabbed the hunter's hand, then pulled down the bandages covering his face and said, that's enough, I'll do it myself. The hunter giggled and said, I see you're back from the dead. Letting Zabuza sit up, he said, pulling out the senbon, damn it Haku, you're brutal, you know that. You're the one that's brutal, Zabuza, if you keep pulling them out like that you really will be finished, retorted Haku. Zabuza, who ignored her, said, how long are you going to wear that mask? Take it off, he ordered. Haku just did as ordered and removed the mask, revealing a pale unblemished face with large chocolate-colored eyes. I have such fond memories of this mask, and it was useful in tricking those ninja. If I hadn't intervened you'd be dead now, that much is certain, she replied calmly. Putting me in a death-like trance is fine, but not through the pressure points in the neck, but cruel as usual. If I didn't know any better, I think you enjoy it, said Zabuza. It was the only way, and besides I didn't want to mark your flawless body, you would complain about that even more. Zabuza then tried standing up, but couldn't. Seeing this, Haku said, I wouldn't bother, you'll be numb for a week, but if I know you it will be half that. Zabuza just humped and said, just get me back to the hideout. The morning of Zabuza's attack. Waking up with his team, they head off. As they were leaving, he called Adoru, Sho, Sen, Miss Yudo, stay here in case anything or anyone gets any ideas. The wolves nodded and went and laid down in the sitting room except Senko, who went to the kitchen to keep Tsunami company. Heading to the bridge, they see all the workers knocked out. As they arrive, an ominous mist rolls, and seeing this, Kakashi sighs and says, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, guard Tazuna, Zabuza is back. Sorry I kept you waiting, but I see you still have your brats and they are shaking in their boots. Pitiful, said Zabuza as 5 water clones appear surrounding them. Sasuke then smirks, drawing the attention of the clones before he says, I'm trembling because I am excited, he said before disappearing and then reappearing in front of his team. When he does, the water clones disperse into nothing. As they did, Zabuza and Haku appeared. So he isn't dead, wait, I'm slightly impressed, but they were only 1/10 of my strength, Zabuza said. He then turned to Haku, you might have a rival speed, Haku. So it seems, was her reply. It seems Naruto-kun was right, the hunter was fake, I guess you have done that little act before then, said Kakashi. Kakashi then continued and said, the hunter is all yours, Sasuke, have fun, he said. But Zabuza and Haku. Impressive, said Haku. I have given you the first advantage, use it, was Zabuza's reply. Haku just said right. And started spinning rapidly toward Sasuke, who smirked and drew a kunai. Getting in a defensive stance, he blocked Haku, who used a senbon to attack him with. So he can keep up with Haku's speed, thought Zabuza. Kakashi said to Naruto and Sakura, can you protect Azuna for me? I think I'll let Sasuke handle this one. While that was going on, both Haku and Sasuke were trading blows with each other until they locked up again. Haku then said, we only want the bridge builder, not you. If you don't hand him over, then I'll have to kill you, she said without any empathy at all. Save it, bitch, you're the one dying here, replied Sasuke. Haku ignored him and spoke again, you're making a big mistake, you can't keep up with my speed, and I have gained 2 advantages. Hearing this, Sasuke just snorted. 1, we are surrounded by water, and 2, both your hands are occupied, meaning you can't defend yourself, finished Haku before running through some one-handed seals. What, no, it can't be using one hand, mentally ranted Sasuke. Very impressive, Zabuza, you have taught her well, a rare trait right there, thought Kakashi. Naruto and Tazuna and Sakura just stared at the fight. How he might actually kill the kid, thought Zabuza. Finishing the hand signs, Haku said, secret technique. 1000 Needle of Death. She then stamped her foot and created thousands of water or ice needles above Sasuke, launching them at Sasuke. Haku jumps back, Sasuke also jumps, but straight up, barely dodging the needle in the process, bringing up his kunai. He brings it down at Haku, who jumps back again, dodging his strike. Sasuke then appeared behind her and said, "You're fast but not that fast." Haku then moved to attack, only to have a sandaled foot courtesy of Sasuke to the face send her rolling across the ground to stop just in front of Zabuza. What is going on? Haku is the fastest, he shouldn't be able to land a hit on her, thought Zabuza, worried. Kakashi then started speaking, "You shouldn't have insulted them, they don't take kindly to insults, especially since my Naruto is the best meta concealer produced since Lady Tsunade and the Yondium. Sasuke is the strongest upfront fighter of his generation, and Sakura is the best at traps and cracking codes with an aptitude for Genjutsu to come from the academy in over 50 years, it is just bound to get their blood boiling." Zabuza laughed a little, confusing them. He then said, "Haku, get on with it, otherwise we will be the victims," was all he said. Haku just nodded and did some hand signs and said, "Secret technique. Demonic crystal ice mirrors," when she said that a dome of mirrors surrounded Sasuke. At Tazuna's home. Shimei sniffed the air and smelled two unknown figures coming to the door, and with Morse code signaled to his younger siblings to get ready. Senko tugged on Tsunami's skirt and had her follow her out back, while Todoroki and Mitsutoshi moved next to Shimei and waited. They didn't have to wait long until the door was cut apart, revealing two samurai. As soon as they saw them, Mitsuto stepped forward and let loose a supersonic howl, utilizing Horingu Kami Hijutsu. The Kami to Boei Jutsu, deafening the two samurai, distracting them enough for Adoru and Shimei to jump them. As they jumped, Adoru howled in triumph and snarled, "I'm going to rip out your throat, die," and with that the eye patch one had his throat ripped out and gained matching set of claw marks on his torso. The other guy met much the same fate as his partner. Shimei turned to his brother and nodded. He then looked at Mitsuto and said, "Little sis, you and Senator stay here in case anyone else tries something, we will go see how father is doing." Ashai just nodded and howled a little, telling Senko what was happening. Back at the bridge. Naruto then gasped and said, That's impossible, the Yuki clan were wiped out in the purges." Kakashi looked at Naruto and said, What is it, Naruto?" Naruto looked at him and said, "She possessed the chakra-based Kekkei Genkai, the Hyotener ice release. Only members of the Yuki clan or those native to the land of snow can use it, but the difference is the Yuki don't need an existing source of ice or snow to use their jutsu," he finished. Sakura looked worried and so did Kakashi. Naruto then said, "Kakashi, does everyone have a gas mask with them?" Kakashi then said, "No Naruto, you can't use the Dakujiri here, if the wind or anything changes it will harm the civilians." Naruto sighed and nodded to Kakashi. Haku then spoke, "Now I shall show you true speed." Kakashi, who was a little worried, took a couple of steps forward, was stopped by the appearance of Zabuza, who said, "If you enter this fight, it will be against me, besides your boy has no chance in there." Kakashi took a couple of steps back to her original position with Zabuza between him and Sasuke. In the dome, Haku was throwing lots of senbon at Sasuke, causing him to scream out in pain. This continued for a couple of minutes until Sasuke's kunai was knocked from his hand and landed in front of Sakura, who grabbed it and threw it. Haku then stopped to intercept a kunai that Sakura threw as a distraction, but was caught by Haku. Naruto then threw his sword and said, "Sensei, this may even it up for you against Zabuza. I trust you haven't forgotten how to use one." Kakashi laughed and grabbed the sword and said, "Well, this will be new. You know Naruto, I have only used a katana proficiently, but this is a sakabatu," said Kakashi. Naruto just called out, "Just treat it like a katana." Just then Shimei and Adoru arrived by Naruto with their fangs dripping with blood. Naruto looked at them and said, "Are they safe?" They just nodded in response, and Naruto continued and said, "Help Kakashi-sensei with Zabuza." "Will I help Sasuke from the outside?" The wolves nodded and ran to Kakashi. Naruto looked at Sakura and said, "Stay here, I'll help Sasuke." Sakura nodded. Running through some the hand signs Inutora Hibi Seru Kasumi Jiksha no Jutsu, then out of the shadows of the mist and mirror the ghost-like clones of Naruto appear and starting closing on each mirror, slowly multiplying every time they are hit. Haku, knowing it isn't the Uchiha, sees Naruto standing there looking for an opening or something, not waiting for it to happen. Haku charges Naruto, only to receive a punch to the face, sending her careening off semi-unconscious, making her lose control of her jutsu, courtesy of a Naruto shadow clone. Seeing her jutsu down, Naruto runs over to Sasuke and activates his Shosen jutsu and starts pulling each of the senbon out of him and healing the small puncture wounds he has sustained. Kakashi, meanwhile, with the help of Shimei and Adoru and his summons, have Zabuza pinned, placing Naruto's sword in its sheath at his side. He fires up his Chidori and charges Zabuza. As he is about to thrust his lightning-covered fist through Zabuza's chest, Haku appears and takes the hit, killing her, while throwing senbon at the summoning scroll, dispelling the summons, and at Shimei and Adoru, forcing them to let go and dodge, giving Zabuza a chance to attack Kakashi, who can't get free. Jumping back, Kakashi places Haku's body to one side and is about to charge Zabuza again when Naruto appears by his side with an exhausted Sasuke. They then hear clapping coming from the far end of the bridge. Zabuza, letting the mist melt away, revealed Gato with around 100 goons behind him, says they did quite a job on you, didn't they Zabuza? You look like yesterday's sashimi, I must say, though I am disappointed. Zabuza then spoke. Gato, what is the meaning of this? You see Zabuza, I'm taking you off the pay list, you're just too expensive, and these bandits aren't cheap either, so if you could kill a few that would be much appreciated, answered Gato. Zabuza then turned to Naruto. Wolf boy, heal my arm, with ya we are no longer enemies, but I would rather go into battle with my sword. Naruto passed Sasuke over to Kakashi and walked to Zabuza's side and healed his arms enough so he could use them even if a little. Zabuza then picked up his sword and charged the bandits in front of him, hell-bent on killing Gato. Same ending as canon. Chapter 5. Back at the Leaf Village. Back in the village, Team 7 were released to go home. Making his way straight to the Inuzuka compound with his wolves, Naruto couldn't wait to see the shocked faces of Kiba, Hana and Tsume when he told them about his recent mission in Wave. Heading to the front door of the clan head's house, Naruto removed his sandals and walked inside with Senko and Misuto close behind. Adoru and Shimei went down to the river to have a soak. Heading to the lounge, he is literally bowled over by Hana in a hug, and Tsume, who was on the couch, laughed at his clueless face. Kiba was happy to see his friend back. Hana, letting him go, led him into the lounge and sat him down while she sat next to her brother. Seeing their expecting looks, he started to regale them in his mission. After about an hour and a half explaining and describing his mission, all three of them had their jaws on the ground and eyes bugged out to the max. Sitting there, he can't hold it any longer, and with Senko and Misuto they start laughing their heads off. Getting over his shock, Kiba jumps up and runs off shouting, "This is so unfair, I'm going to train so I will be stronger than you, Naruto." Tsume just gives him a hug and walks off, and Hana, she blushes and gives him a hug and asks if he wants to hang out sometime. Naruto, looking at the time, heads to his mother's grave to say hi and tell her all about his mission. A week later, Naruto is walking back with his wolves from a D-rank of helping an old farmer who also happened to have a sick granddaughter that Naruto healed. Walking along the river, his wolf-like senses pick up an unusual smell in the area, the smell of pine trees mixed with honey. Taking off in the direction of the smell with his partners hot on his tail, as he gets closer the smell becomes intoxicating and he and his partners halt about 100 meters from the source of the smell and let loose a long loud howl that echoed all over the clearing and to the outskirts of the Inuzuka compound. Finishing his howl, he continues to the clearing, bursting through the undergrowth. Naruto is met with the sight of Hana and the Hyamaru brothers ready for whoever came out of the forest. Seeing it was Naruto, Hana relax, and then Naruto said, "Hana, have I ever told you?" He paused, taking a good long breath of the air. "Smell delicious." Hearing that, Hana blushed and said, "On Naruto, that would be because I am in heat. I sort of came out here to get away from the men so they wouldn't try and mate with me, but I don't mind if you want to." Naruto, who hadn't read all the rules and traditions of the Inuzuka clan, gave her a quizzical look and said, "I know what being in heat is, but I missed out the other part." "How would I make you my mate?" asked Naruto. Hana looked at him and said, "Oh, that's easy. You have to beat me in a spar." Hearing that, he asked any rules. Hana nodded and said, "Yeah, 4 rules. 1. No killing, 2. No maiming, 3. No partners allowed, and 4. First person to fall on their back loses." Hearing that, Naruto nodded and said, "You 4 go sit by the riverside with the brothers." They all nodded and did as they were told. Naruto then went forward, and as he did, he removed his Chunin-style vest and long-sleeved shirt and threw them to one side, revealing a toned stomach, causing Hana to blush a little before walking to the center of the clearing. As if on K, a leaf hit the ground signaling the start of the fight. Hana just went straight into it, Gijignin. Shikyaku no Jutsu, and caused her to become more feral. Her nails turned into claws, her canines became sharper and more pronounced, her hair became a little more wild, and she went down into a crouching position and looked at him. Smirking, Naruto also did the Giju Ninpo. Shikyaku no Jutsu, and because of his wolf blood he gained his already pronounced fangs became longer and his other teeth became more fang-like, his nails turned into claws also, and his hair became even wilder and shaggier than before, his whisker marks darkened and he gained extra hair on his body. He too crouched down, copying her stance. They then charged each other and in a flurry of claws and gnashing fangs, became tangled and retreated a bit from each other. Seeing some of the deep scratches he got, he molded his chakra and focused it on the cuts while keeping an eye on Hana as his wounds steamed closed. Hana meanwhile was thinking for a medic he is no slouch, and to Jutsu she stopped thinking when she saw him charge again. As Naruto charged practically at the same time, they called Tsuga and turned into a drill that connected with each other. As they were trying to push each other back, Naruto inwardly smirked and stopped spinning and dropped to the ground, suddenly causing Hana to go straight into the ground. When the dust cleared, Hana was still standing, albeit with a few cuts on her arms and body. Naruto, when he saw his plan didn't work, damn, I thought that would work. He then thought, I know, wait, that would be a sucker's win. If I want to be her mate, I will do it the right way through my own power, not manipulating her nervous system. He was snapped out of his thoughts when Hana charged him and they once more engaged into jutsu. Naruto, not liking where this was heading, jumped back and fired some of his hidden needle at her, which she dodged, putting her off balance. Seeing this, Naruto charged and tackled her to the ground with him on top of her, making him the winner. When Hana recovered from her slight surprise at being tackled, she looked up to see Naruto, no, not in his Shikyaku form anymore and completely uninjured. Looking down at her, he couldn't help but marvel at her beauty. He then said, I win then, so what does that mean for us now? Hana smiled and said, well, for starters, we are in a way now mated with each other, meaning you're my, in normal terms, husband. After hearing that, Naruto smiled, and then he heard her speak, so Alpha-kun, are you going to give your baby some sugar or not? Naruto, thanking whatever deities there are, didn't respond. He just leant down and kissed her for the first time, something he had been wanting to do for a long time. Hana, at the moment their lips connected, was in pure heaven and started kissing back. She then wrapped her arms round his back and started digging her nails into his back as they started to lose themselves a little, breaking away before they went too far. And doing something like that in front of their partners who they see as their children. Naruto got up and started to heal Hana's cuts and bruises she sustained in the fight. Once he was finished, he asked, what are we going to tell your mother? Hana thought for a second before saying, well, since I am mated with you now, and considering you clan is a branch of my clan, and your clan head, we just tell her the truth, she said. Naruto looked her and said the truth. Yup, was his only reply. Nodding his head, he helped her up and they made their way to the compound hand in hand. When they arrived, no one was out, so they just went straight to Tsume, who was in her office. When they walked through the house to her office, they noticed Kiba wasn't there, and then Naruto remembered he was out on a month-long mission. Heading to the office, Hana walks in and says, hey mum, I have some news. Tsume, who had only just got back herself from a mission, said, and that would be prompting her. Seeing this, Hana started, you know, this week and next would have been my heat week and I would have gone into the forest. She just got a nod in return as Tsume had a rough idea where this was going. Well, this afternoon, Naruto found me after smelling me, she said, blushing, causing Tsume to smirk. Tsume knew where Hana went and how far it was from the river path. Should have guessed the young wolf would have smelt her from that distance. Hana then continued, I explained the rules and we fought and he won, so now I'm mated to Naruto. We thought we should tell you ASAP. Naruto then walked in and waved. Tsume smiled and said, well, Naruto, it looks like the wolf clan has its very own matriarch now. Congratulations, and I know the perfect mating gift. I had this built a couple of years ago, but on the new land I bought, so here, take these, she said, tossing Naruto keys to the new Horingu Akami clan grounds. Bowing, Naruto said, let the wolf and he dog always stay as brothers. I thank you for this wonderful gift. After they finished talking with Tsume, the new couple made their way to their new home. When they arrived and walked through the front gate, they saw a large single-story home in the style that was a mix between Kiri and Iwa's style of building. The grounds, there was a large crop of natural boulders, rocks. They also saw a cave entrance where the wolves could go and have a den of their own. There was little grass and a few sparse trees dotted around the land. There were a few dense areas of forest. As well, behind the house was a large pond with a small stream that connected and ran through it. There was a small array of fish as well. Turning to his wolves, Naruto said, hey guys, why don't you go and explore with the grounds with the Hyamaru brothers while me and Hana-chan go in and unlock everything. Shimei barked and ran off with Adoru and the brothers. Senko jumped up and licked Naruto's face, who was mirrored by Miss Yudo, and ran off to explore the den. When they were gone, Naruto and Hana walked into the house together. Walking in, they saw a large spacious living area, the floor littered in various animal skins. They also had some basic furniture, as well as a large fireplace as well, and looking to their left, they both saw an equally large and beautiful kitchen, dining area. Walking to the hallway, they saw about 6 doors. One was for the master bedroom and ensuite, the others were reasonable large bedrooms, and the door at the end was a study library for them. Going back into the living room, Naruto sat on the couch with Hana next to him. She then said, this is the happiest day of my life. I'm with the man I love. We have our own home as well. This couldn't get any better, she said, snuggling up to him. Naruto was still in a little shock, but he understood what she was getting at, but then paled before saying, Kiba is going to be so pissed when he finds out, said Naruto. Hana just giggled and said, playful, attacking his pride a little, is my Alpha-kun worried about my little brother? Hearing her mock him and saying he was scared was something his pride would not admit. Growling a little, he grabbed Hana and pinned her on her back and said, humph, who said I was scared, which he followed up with attacking her neck with kisses. He then smirked and licked her cheek, leaving a wet trail of saliva. Hana, who was happy when he was kissing her, then turned to a little bit of a frown when she felt her face become wet. Reaching up, she wiped her face and then licked him back. Having enough fun teasing each other, Naruto got up and created a couple of shadow clones with orders to pack up their stuff and bring it here. Grabbing her hand they went outside to see how their partners were doing. Looking around for them they went over to the den that they saw Senko and Miss Yudo go into. Walking through the large entrance they followed the narrow passageway and saw it open up into a large cave with multiple corridors off it. Walking to the middle Naruto looked at Hana and said I know a way that will be easier to find them. Hold on. He then took a deep breath and let loose a loud howl, signaling his pack mates to come to him. A second later he was met with the howls of Senko, Miss Yudo, Shimei, Adoru, and the barks of the Hayamaru brothers. It took a further 5 minutes for them to appear. Seeing them Hana smiled and ruffled one of her dog's ears before saying you guys have fun. Getting nods from each of them, they then decided to go to the main house since Naruto's clones dispelled telling him they were done. At night after unpacking everything Naruto and Hana were laying in each other's arms, Hana was asleep and Naruto looked at the time on the clock, seeing it was about 10:30 was about to close his eyes when he heard a distressed howl, and it wasn't from his wolves or Hana's dog. Sitting he focused on his hearing. In the process of sitting up he woke Hana. Looking at her husband she saw him concentrating when she too heard the howling Naruto, then got out of bed and got dressed quickly before growling poachers hunting wolf cubs, I'm going to put a stop to this. He then disappeared quickly. Running down the hall he saw Shimei, Adoru, Senko and Miss Yudo alert. After hearing the sound Naruto ran past them and said we're hunting some poachers. You coming? With the door open the 4 wolves followed their father into the night in the direction of the howling. Hana meanwhile got out of bed too and ran to her mother with her companions with her. Getting to her mother's bedroom she starts shouting and banging on the door. Tsume quickly throws open the door dressed for battle as she heard the howling. Said what's going on Hana? Hana then said Naruto and his wolves are off hunting some poachers going after wolf cubs. I thought you should know as well, so we could send some clansmen as well. She finished. Tsume nodded and ran past her with Kuromaru hot on her heels. Getting to the middle of the compound Kuromaru let loose a loud bark waking up the clan. When the first 10 clansmen came out with their partners, Tsume barked out you 10 with me, we have some poachers to kill. They all nodded and took off with Tsume and Hana. Picking up Naruto's scent. With Naruto not 20 minutes of running they come across the first poacher. Looking at Shimei he nods and the wolf accelerates and lunges at the man's back, ripping his claws down its length before clamping his jaws around the man's neck snapping it. Continuing on they found some wild wolves darting in and out, trying to get the poachers to run, but to no avail. Seeing this Naruto goes through some hand signs and says Horingu Akami Hijutsu. Akami no Murjutsu creating a veritable horde of him and his wolves. Seeing it worked he then does his Gijknin Kimono Kurm Nai to Tsuruhido and transforms into a large golden wolf himself. He then charges in at the 20 or so poachers. When the Inyazuka arrive all they see is a horde of wolves decimating this little hunting party. Tsume seeing they won't be much orders her clan's men to return home. Hana just watches as a large golden wolf rips out the throat of the last hunter before howling in victory. By then the copies of him and his wolves disappear leaving Naruto in his wolf transformation with Shimei, Senko on his right and Otorukage and Misutoshi on his left. The wolves that were being attacked looked at them and sort of bowed. It was then the alpha male and female of said pack came forward. The alpha looked at Naruto before talking. The Naruto can talk to any wolf. Remember. My name is Akira, the alpha of this pack. We thank you for saving us against those monsters and as such we owe you our lives and indebted to you. Please tell us what we can do. Naruto looked at him before transforming into his human form and saying my name is Naruto Akami, Akira. All I ask is that your pack joins mine and you can live in safety at my clan grounds. All I ask is when a child in my clan is born that they try and bond with one of your pack's cubs. Shocked that he was a human Akira didn't dwell on it much, but he could hear his pack start talking amongst each other at the chance of being safe. Looking at his mate, she nuzzled his neck and nodded. Looking back at Naruto he said, we will join your pack and we can agree to your cubs trying to bond with ours. We will spread the word to other roving packs. We know that you offer safety and sanctuary. Naruto nodded and said that is fine, but you may have to hunt in the surrounding forests of the village, sometimes as long as you promise not to attack. I will also talk with the village leader and say that anyone from now on who kills or harms a wolf will pay for it in bloody finished. Akira nodded and said led the way. Alpha Naruto nodded and saw Hana waving to her. He motioned for the wolves to follow him. Walking up to Hana, he gave her a kiss and said we have a bigger pack of wolves. Now she just nodded and took his hand and walked with him as the wolves followed. While they were walking some of the females were carrying the various cubs. Naruto's wolves spread out amongst the others. Akira's mate Honyahaka walked up beside Senko and said hi, my name's Honyahaka. Senko, how are you? Answered Senko happily. Honya tilted her head and said how did you meet Naruto? Senko smiled sadly and said he found us with our mother 7 years ago, but our mother was the beta female of the great northern wolf clan. We were on our way to meet with some other wolves. When we were attacked by some hunters, mother managed to get us away safely, but was mortally wounded. We ran for days until we ended up near the Leaf Village. When mother collapsed a few minutes later, Naruto arrived and tried healing her, but he couldn't save her. But in her dying moments she gave him a Kekkei Genkai so he could talk to us. It also changed his physicality as well. Anyway, she then told him to look after us, and he did. After a while we started to see him as our father. He just recently mated with Hana, making her our mother. Granted our real one is dead. It will be nice having her fill that void, only if it is a little bit, she finished. Onia, who was listening as well as some of the other females, smiled a little now knowing a little more about their savior Shimei, and the others were nuzzled by some of the elder wolves. It was then that an ancient-looking wolf wimbled over to Senko and said was when the howls of anguish happened, calling for the blood of the men responsible for the death of a great spirit. The months that followed saw the blood spilt of every hunter that dared enter the pact's territory. Aduro then spoke, and so it should have been. For every wolf killed 10 hunters should die to serve Amaterasu-sama in the afterlife. The other wolves were about to howl in agreement, but Naruto, who was conversing with Akira and Hana, turned and said calmly, "We will not willing seek bloodshed, Adoro, for innocent lives will be lost in the process. The village accepts you, so too does the land of waves. I have received word from Tazuna that numerous wolf packs have made it home since we left, and the villagers and wolves live in harmony. If we can spread the word that wolves are the messengers and will of the Kamigami, then we will not have to fight. But I promise you this, if any wolf in my territory is harmed, the perpetrator will pay in blood." Adoru bowed his head and said, "Apologies, father, you know how I get after a fight, and when someone mentions mother, it just brings up bad memories." Naruto nodded and said, "Always remember her, but do not let your emotions cloud your judgment," Naruto said with a smile before walking over to him and putting him in a friendly headlock, causing a play fight to break out. Later at the Horingu Akami clan grounds, it is around 12 AM when they all arrive, showing them the entrance to the den. They leave them to get acquainted with their new home. Going back inside the house, the wolves and dogs go and lay in front of the fire and go back to sleep. Hana and Naruto also go to sleep in each other's embrace. 2 weeks before the Chunin exams. In town. "Man, I can't believe Sensei actually is signing my team up for the Chunin exams next week," said Naruto in disbelief as he looked at his mate. She was wearing her plain black biker shorts that cut off halfway down her thighs. She also wore a variation of the Konoha flak jacket that was unzipped, showing ample amounts of cleavage. It had no pockets on the front either. She wasn't wearing anything underneath either except for her undergarments. Her clan markings also changed as well, and instead of fangs-like marks which were now gone, she now had the Akami clan symbol resting over her heart. She also had normal black shinobi sandals. Her hair was in a high ponytail with 2 bangs spilling over her headband reaching down to her shoulders. Around her neck was a necklace with a ring on it. "Yeah, well, Alpha-kun, when you reach Chunin you can take a seat on the council and also find out who your father is," said Hana, resting her head on his shoulder and nuzzling his neck. She then started rubbing his bare chest. Looking at him, she realized how much she liked his new look, consisting of a short black jacket with a high fur collar that covered to the bottom of his ribs with long wide green sleeves, with steel-plated gloves on his hands. Round his midriff he had medical tape wrapped round. He had blue pants that went to his ankles, with his ankles wrapped in tape. On his feet he had black shinobi sandals on. He also had a beige loin cloth that fell down to his knees that had a few blood stains in from the last couple of missions, from when he had to heal a few bloody injuries. His headband was wrapped around his forehead, and around his neck was a necklace with a ring on, as well as the one he received after Munfirawa's death, and on his back was a large scroll with lots of medical supplies and Sakabatu blade, which he named after his mother. Walking just behind them was Shimei, who was the pack leader when Naruto was absent, and Hana's triplets. They then heard a scream that sounded like Konohamaru around the corner. Hearing it, Naruto and Hana got a concerned look. Looking at each other, they nodded and ran round the corner. Arriving at the scene, they saw a girl that was probably a year older than Naruto with teal eyes and sandy blonde hair, which is gathered into 4 consecutive ponytails. Her outfit consisted of a single light purple-colored off-the-shoulders garment that extended to halfway down her thighs, with a scarlet sash tied around her waist. In addition to incorporating fishnet worn over her shoulders and legs, specifically on her right calf and her left thigh, she also wore her black forehead protector around her neck. Standing behind a reasonably tall boy wearing a black baggy full bodysuit with a red and yellow circle on the front. He also wears a black hood which covered his head completely and had cat-like ears and his forehead protector on his forehead. Both this and later outfits are derived from traditional Bunraku puppeteer costume. He also sported a triangular face paint design. And he was holding Konohamaru by his shirt collar. Standing opposite them was Yuden, Mogi and Sakura. Yuden and Mogi were pleading with to let him go while Sakura was freaking out since she knew he was the grandson of the 3rd Hokage. "Oh no, if Lord Hokage finds out Konohamaru was hurt and I did nothing, I'm dead, they're dead, we're all dead," thought Sakura. They were then snapped out of their thoughts by the blonde girl. "Kankuro, put him down, you know you will pay for it later." When she finished, Sakura spoke, looking around nervously, which both Sand Ninja caught and thought, what is she worried about that could possibly warrant more attention? Their thoughts were answered when she spoke, "Please put him down, it was an accident." Kuro snorted and thought, while Tamari started scanning the area for threats or more importantly her littlest brother. Kuro then saw the headband on Sakura's head. So, these are the Leaf Villages, Gene, and we have a few minutes before he gets here, let's mess with these punks, huh? Konohamaru then started struggling harder to get free, while saying let go, let go. You're feisty but not for long, said Kuro as he tightened his grip, causing more pain. Seeing Sakura get ready to attack, Kuro said, you're annoying, I don't like brats that are annoying, and if kids start shooting off at the mouth, I just want break them in half, shocking the Leaf Ninja. Naruto and Hana then went to intervene when. Hearing this, Tamari sighed, fine, but I am not involved in any of this, before taking a couple of steps back. It was around her finishing her sentence Shimei howled eerily and Konohamaru gasped, the wolves are coming for you. Then Naruto and Hana appeared between Kuro and Tamari with their respective partners. Shimei growled with his hackles raised, showing off his wicked fangs to Kuro, while Naruto stood there with his Sakabatu Kushina pointing at him, while Hana and her three partners surrounded Tamari, with a kunai rested near her neck, while her triplets Arashi, Saishin and Sukoru circling her, baring their teeth at her. Kuro and Tamari could only think fast. Recognizing the person, Sakura smiled at seeing her teammate Naruto. Naruto, then you in the black, let Konohamaru-kun go, said Naruto with a glare at Kuro, who dropped Konohamaru since he didn't really want to find out if the kid could use his sword. Konohamaru then ran and hid behind Yuden and Mogi. Tamari gained a light blush and thought local hottie number 1 Hana, who saw her looking at Naruto and blush, whispered menacingly in her ear, stop looking at my mate like that. She finished with a growl. Kuro looked at him in annoyance. Now he have Konohamaru. Naruto spoke, you know, Sand Ninja, you're lucky our villages are allies, because if Lord Hokage knew what you were planning on doing to his grandson, he might have killed you. Sakura sighed and said, you're fucked now, loser. That's Naruto Uzumaki Akami, the head of the Akami clan. Brilliant, another wimp to tick me off, said Kuro. Naruto leveled his gaze at Kuro, revealing his sapphire eyes, sending shivers down Kuro's spine, and said, you have one last chance to return to your hotel before the Chunin exams in a week. Ignoring his rational mind, Kuro said, hey you're the type of idiot I hate the most of all bark and no bite. When he finished, he pulled the mummy off his back, making Tamari gasp, you're using crow here. Seeing this, Naruto and Shimei growled and said, puny child, you have no idea what you are getting into. I suggest you listen to him and realize who the alpha around here is before it gets you and your sibling hurt. What type of brother would throw his sister in the path of danger, he said. Kuro then moved to look at Tamari to see she was being held hostage. Sighing, he put crow back on his back. Naruto then sniffed the air and moved his gaze from Kuro up into the tree and said, Sasuke, Sand Shinobi, get out of the tree. Sasuke landed next to Sakura's and smirked. The Sand Ninja appeared in a swirl of sand and looked at Kuro, who looked worried. Kuro back off. Sasuke was shocked that there was another in the tree beside him. Your embarrassment to our village, have you forgotten the reason we are here, he finished. Kuro looked sheepish and said, hey Gaara. Same time with the Hokage. Sitting in a big comfortable chair sat Hiruzen, looking out over the assembled ninja. He then spoke, I have summoned you for a very important purpose. Seeing your fellow Jonin here, I think you realize what this is all about. Kakashi spoke, so soon? I thought we would have a little more time, he said, looking at the third. Then Asuma spoke, I take by the foreign shinobi, the other lands have been notified by the coming event. And, does it matter when does it start, asked Kurenai. The third answered, we will begin in a week. If you remember, I gave you all a heads up a couple of months ago. That's pretty short notice, said Kakashi, even though he already informed his team about the exams. Sarutobi puffed out some smoke and said, take heed, exactly 1 day from now, on the first day of August, the genin will be gathered and tested. Only the very best will be chosen as Chunin. Back with Naruto. Kuro, seeing Gaara was trying to make up excuses until Gaara said, shut up or I'll kill you. Kuro just nodded his head in fear. Gaara then looked at Naruto and stared at him, with Naruto staring right back. After a minute, Gaara spoke, I am sorry for any trouble he caused. Naruto looked at him, and then Kyuubi spoke for the first time, surprising Naruto slightly. Chibi, Naruto's only thought, so you're one too. I can see the loneliness in your eyes mixed in with the insanity by not being able to sleep, judging by the bags under your eyes. And it is finally nice to hear from my tenant Kyuubi, then growled. Shukaku has that effect on people, which is strange. She usually was the calmest and nicest, and I thought I should warm my container. Loath as I am to do so, I may have to lend you my chakra, which I am not happy about, he finished. Gaara, he stopped Kuro with mere words and made it look easy. This is someone to keep an eye on. He then turned and said, let's go, we've wasted enough time here. As he was leaving, Naruto jumped from his spot, Hana, and said to just in front of Sasuke and the others, you with the red hair, what's your name? Turning, Gaara said, Gaara of the desert, and I am curious about you too, who are you? Replied Gaara, looking at them. Naruto smirked and said, Naruto Uzumaki Akami. Naruto looked at his mate and her partners, and then at Shimei who he was patting on his head. He then looked at Konohamaru and said, "Go home Konohamaru-kun and take your friends with you." Konohamaru nodded and walked off with his friends in tow. Naruto and Hana had the same thoughts. This is going to be interesting. Sakura left via the walking home. Sasuke did the same. Up in a tree not too far away sat 3 sound genin. "What do you think, Dosu?" asked the other male of the trio. "The usual weaklings, nothing special, but the kid with the wolf and that desert rat, we should watch them carefully." Back with the jonin. The third spoke. "Now is the time we choose our candidates for the exams. Could the rookie senseis please step forward?" Kakashi, Kushina, Kurenai and Asuma took a step forward. "Well," Sarutobi said, "now one by one tell us who you wish to nominate." Kakashi then said, "Team 7, I nominate Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno and Naruto Uzumaki Akami for the Chunin exams." Kurenai went next. Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburam, I nominate all 3 for the exams. Lastly Asuma said, Team 10 Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara and Ino Yamanaka, I Asuma Sarutobi, nominate all 3. This got hushed whispers from all the other jonin about all the rookie teams being nominated at once. Iruka then jumped in and said, "Hold on, they were all in my academy class not even 6 months ago, and I know they are not even close to being ready. These exams could destroy them." Kakashi then said, "I was half their age when I became Chunin, and I think a little pain will do them well, nothing too serious," though Iruka was about to retort when Kakashi kept, "I know this may be personal to you, but you have to understand." He was going to continue, but Kurenai cut in. "Alright Kakashi, that is enough." Kakashi then spoke, "No, he needs to hear this, Kurenai, they aren't your students anymore, they're ours," said Kakashi. Iruka was about to say something, but Sarutobi intervened. "Iruka, you have made your point, I understand, but they have been nominated, you nor I can stop them." Later that day. At the usual Team 7 meeting area, Kakashi appeared and handed them all an application form for the Chunin exams. Somewhere in the forest. The green spandex wearing kid with orange leg warmers, bandages around his arms and the most hideous bowl cut and bushiest eyebrows seen, spoke as he put his hand next to a target on a dummy. "Did you hear we're going to have rookies at the exams, first year genin, that hasn't happened in 5 years." The girl spinning her kunai wearing a pink Chinese top and blue pants with 2 buns that make her look like a panda, spoke up. "I'm not surprised, considering who some of them are." The spandex kid spoke again. "Yeah, Kakashi's squad." Then a pale-eyed kid in a khaki shirt with a dull blue shirt beneath that and mesh armor beneath, also wears dark brown shorts, blue shinobi sandals, and bandages around his right arm, chest, and right leg. "Huh, interesting. This I going to be tough," said the girl before throwing a kunai at the target that her pale-eyed teammate sat under, and the spandex stood beside. "Either way we will win," said Pale Eyes. Chapter 6. Next week Academy. Walking down, the Team 7 come to a group of genin trying to get in the room, but were being blocked. Ignoring them they keep walking, only to draw the attention of the pale-eyed kid. "Hey, where are you 3 going, and what's your name?" Naruto turns his head, so he is looking over his shoulder and snorts before saying, "Naruto Uzumaki," said Naruto. "Sasuke Uchiha," said Sasuke, "and Sakura Haruno, and who are you?" she said. "Neji Hyuga of the Hyuga clan," he states proudly. "You didn't answer the first question," he said. Sasuke then said, "It is so obvious, it's a genjutsu." The now named Niji's eyes widened and quickly activated his Byakugan. Seeing it was a genjutsu, he signaled for Tenten and Lee to follow him. The other genin, seeing this, just followed them. The ones guarding the door disappeared inside the room with all the waiting proctors who were smirking at the whole scene. Who wouldn't, seeing a Hyuga be talked down to? The proctors looked at each other, with Izumo speaking. "So that is Kakashi and Guy's merry band of misfits. It looks like the Chunin exams will be fun this year," said Katetsu, getting nods of agreement from everyone. But Team 7. "So this is the Chunin exams, interesting. I wonder is there anyone who can give me a proper fight," thought Sasuke. "This looks like it will be hard, especially with a Hyuga entering," thought Sakura. "Why do I get the feeling something bad is going to happen, or that Sasuke is going to do something foolish," thought Naruto. But Sasuke and Lee. "Sasuke Uchiha, wait," said Lee. Looking back, Naruto looked at him blankly and decided to finger the ring around his neck, seeing as he left his wolves back at the compound, since he wanted to see how good he was without partners watching his back. Sakura freaked out at his hair and eyebrows. "And Sasuke, what do you want?" he said with his hands in his pockets. Lee answered, "I want to fight right here right now." Sasuke raised an eyebrow. "You want to fight me, okay. Yes, I Lee challenge you. I wish to challenge because everyone goes on about how great the Uchiha are. I wanted to see for myself," he said, getting into his taijutsu stance. Sasuke smirked, sighed and went to the side of the room, saying, "Have head." Sakura also moved to the side as well. Sasuke then said, "You've heard of the Uchiha, yet you are still challenging me. Are you more insane than you look? But if you want to know more, I will teach you the hard way," he said, getting into his own stance. They then charged each other, ending with Sasuke getting a foot to the face, sending him sprawling across the ground. Getting up, Sasuke said, "I've been waiting to try this out," said Sasuke, opening his eyes to reveal a 2 Tama left eye and 1 Tama right eye of the Sharingan. Team 7 then walked over to the side of the room and were met by the other rookie teams 8, 10. Ino and Sakura started fighting over Sasuke, then Shikamaru woke up from his nap, saw everyone, so all the rookies are assembled, what a drag, but seeing you here Naruto, just makes bearable, now he drawled holding out his fist which Naruto met with his own. Well, looks like everyone is back together, said Kiba as his team showed up. Naruto looked at him and said Kiba, how are things at the compound, how's Tsum-chan? Hearing that Kiba walked over and bumped fist with Naruto and said I'm good, the compound is quiet without you and Hana, and mom is doing fine as well. That's good was his reply. Before looking at the opposition again sizing people up. Just then a silver-haired kid a couple of years older walked up, hey you guys, you might want to keep it down a little, you're the 9 rookies right, I wouldn't go making a spectacle of yourselves, this isn't a class field trip. Ino then started, well who asked you, she was about to say more when Naruto's voice cut over hers, Ino just let the man talk, he might have info. Ino shut up quickly, actually agreeing. So what's your name? Asked Naruto kindly. Name's Kabuto Yakushi, besides look around, you've made quite an impression. The rookies then looked around and saw all the others were staring at them. Naruto ignored them, but the others shivered a little, then Kabuto said those guys are from the Rain Village, very touchy, well, then again everyone is. Sakura then asked, so I take it, this isn't the first time you have taken this exam? No, this would be my 7th time was Kabuto's reply. So this test is hard, what a drag, said Shikamaru. Kabuto smiled and pulled out a stack of cards and said hold, these may help you guys out with my ninja info cards, give me a description or name and I'll have info on them guaranteed. Sasuke spoke, Gaara of the desert and Rock Lee. Man too easy, you know their names, whined Kabuto. Alright Rock Lee, he's a year older than you guys, mission experience 20 D ranks and 11 C ranks, Jonin sensei guy, teammates 10-10 and Niji Hyuga, skills off the charts to jutsu and pretty much non-existent everything else, and he is a first-time candidate like you guys. Okay, now for Gaara of the desert, mission experience 8 C rank and 1 B rank. There's not a lot more information on this guy, other than he was a rookie from another land, but there is this, he has never gotten a scratch in any of his missions. This guy has done a B rank as a genin and wasn't even injured, said Shikamaru in disbelief. Kabuto then goes on to talk about the different villages and ends up insulting the Sound who don't take kindly to it and attack Kabuto. Dosu is about to strike when Kabuto dodged a couple of times but keeled over, throwing up. Dosu walked away saying, never underestimate the Sound. Naruto then went over to Kabuto and healed his ears with the Shosen Jutsu. The Sand team, so he is a medic, haven't come across any powerful one, said Kankuro. It would seem so. Anyway Gaara, what do you think of this Naruto guy? Mother wants his blood, said Gaara, causing his siblings to go wide-eyed. Team Guy. Rock Lee then spoke, I vote we avoid them at all costs. Niji could only nod. Just then Ibiki appears, alright maggots, pipe down and listen up, it's time to begin. I am Ibiki Moreno and I'll be your proctor and from this moment your worst nightmare. Firstly, you from the Sound, who told you could fight? Do you want to fail before we even begin? Dosu then said, sorry, this is our first time, guess we were a little jumpy, sir. Ibiki smirked and said, I'll say this once, there will be no fighting without our permission and deadly force is forbidden. If you even think of messing with me, you will be disqualified immediately. Got it, making lots of people gulp. Ibiki just ignored Naruto and said, now hand in your paperwork so we may begin, he said, while the proctors spread out collecting the paperwork. Ibiki, when everyone was sat, explained the rules. Alright, then the rules are the test consists of a 10-question paper, which participants are given 1 hour to complete. Each participant starts out with a total of 10 points, and for each question you get wrong you lose 1 of those 10 points, and if you are caught cheating, you lose 2 points. If you ever reach 0 points you and the rest of your team will instantly disqualified. But that said, begin. The exam was simple for the Naruto, seeing as though he studied to the point he would pass out from mental exhaustion, that in Naruto had a million-year-old demon inside him, providing the answers for some odd reason, almost as if it was bored. When it came to the 10th and final question, Naruto at Sakura and mouthed, follow my lead, which calmed her down. He then pretty much ignored Ibiki right up until the point they saw a blur heading for the window. Crashing through the window, the blur parted and 2 kunai pinned a banner on the wall, saying the sexy and single Anko Mitarashi, proctor of the second exam. Anko then looked over the crowd. Naruto snorted. Seeing how many teams that were left, Anko huffed and turned to Ibiki, who came out from behind the banner. Ibiki then said, you're early again. Anko for her part looked sheepish and embarrassed but recovered quickly and said, oh Ibiki, you getting soft, there are so many teams left. Ibiki replied, we have a talented bunch this year, but I suppose you will probably cut their numbers in half again. Earlier Jonin lounge. So Kurenai, how do you think they went? I mean the test should be finished now, asked Asuma. Kurenai smiled, I'm not worried at all. Well, it will be interesting if they do make it past the first exam, seeing as the proctor is Ibiki the mental torture specialist, said Kakashi. Outside the forest of death. "Oh, so you brought us to the forest, well played Anko, well played," said Naruto with a grin. Anko, although hearing him, ignored his comment as she had seen him in the forest with his wolf pack hunting down the various plethora of animals in the forest. She then said, "This here is the Forest of Death or 44th Battle Training Zone where you will take your second test." She paused, waiting for people to calm down. Anko then went through the rules, same as canon. At the gate. Same as canon for everyone. Naruto doesn't get knocked out or have the seal placed on him, but he does get roughed up a bit like Sakura. Orochimaru managed to separate them with his summons long enough to mark Sasuke before disappearing. In the tower control room. "Well, looks like we have some talented people. The Sand team finished in hour 17 minutes. Good work, kid," said Anko. "Hey, wait, none of them bar the Sand Genin have scratches on them. They are all way above Genin level," said an Anbu that was in the tower. Then one of the others spoke up, "Yeah, but did you see the look in the kid with the gourd? Total evil and madness." Preliminaries. Walking into the main chamber, Team 7C, all the other rookies, Team Guy, Kabuto's team, the Sand team, the Sound team and a team. "Oh, there's a lot of them. I wonder what they gathered us for," asked Sakura. Naruto then said, "My guess is we will be doing a preliminary round." He finished with a smile, seeing a no face appear on Sakura and Sasuke's faces. Naruto sighed and said, "Might as well get down there and get this over with." They nodded and disappeared in their respective shunshin, which they learned from Naruto with Kakashi's permission after wave. Lining up in line with the other Chunin hopefuls, they all look forward only to see the third clan heads, Jonin sensei and proctors appear. Naruto looked once, then dismissed them and took a closer look at the other participants. They all look the same, only a little beaten up. Naruto then turned to the front again just in time. The third then steps forward and raises his hands for silence before beginning. He then said, "Do you know the real reason behind the tests?" He was met with silence and blank looks. The third for his part just ignored her and went on, "Why do you suppose our country holds these exams in conjunction with our allies? To raise the ability levels of our shinobi and increase friendship between allied nations, to be sure, but it is important that you understand its true meaning. The exams are a representation of the battles between allied nations." He was then interrupted by Tenten, who asked curiously, "What's that supposed to mean?" The Hokage looks at her blankly while puffs on his pipe. "Now, if we look at our history, all the countries we are currently allied with were once neighboring nations that continuously fought with each other for power in order to avoid destroying each other's military strength. Meaninglessly, those nations pick champions to do battle on behalf of their countries at a mutually selected destination. That is how the Chunin selection exams originally began." Then Naruto spoke up, "Great, so we're doing these exams essential as entertainment to some rich prick civilians?" The third ignores his snarky comment and continues, "Well, actually there is no question that part of the point of these exams is to select shinobi worthy of becoming Chunin. That's just not the whole story. These exams also allow for a place where shinobi can carry the pride of their nation on their backs and fight against other ninja for their very lives. Many leaders and people of prominence come from all over the nations. Are invited to seek possible shinobi to work for them. This exam will change the course of your ninja world from here on out. More importantly, those rulers will watch your battles and take note the strength of each ninja and nation is developing. If there is a gap in power between countries, the strong nations will be swamped with job requests for their ninja, and the opposite happens to those countries deemed weak. So therefore, the stronger our nation is, the better off we will be in negotiations, so it is important to show how much military strength our village has." Then Kiba calls out, "Even so, why is it necessary for us to risk our lives for entertainment essential?" The third continues answering, "At the same time, the village's strength is the shinobi strength, and the true strength of a shinobi is achieved when pushed to its limits, such as in a life or death battle. This exam is a chance for each nation to display the strength of its shinobi, and hence the strength of the nation itself. It's because this exam is one where you put yourself on the line that it has meaning, and it is for this very reason and the strength of the nation that your forefathers fought in this exam. It is truly a dream worth striving for." He is then asked by Ino, "Then why did you use the expression before?" The Hokage looks seriously, "But you have only remembered half of what I said. You mustn't have the wrong idea of the exams, meaning this is a custom in which balance is preserved by fighting and dying in the world of the shinobi, that is friendship. The third exam is a fight for life with the pride of your village and own dreams at risk." The Hokage finished with Gaara speaking up, looking angrily at them. "Any test is fine, just give me the details already. I can handle anything you throw at me." The Hokage was about to speak up when a Jonin landed kneeling and said, "Lord Hokage, let IH echo the appointed proctor for the exam. Tell them rules," he said respectively. The Hokage nodded and said, "Of course, Height, be my guest." Height, standing up, turned and looked at the man. Not doing the coughing, he spoke between coughs, "There is one thing I need all of you to do before I start the third round. We have to have a preliminary shikamaru for the first time." Shouted out, "Are you kidding me? What is this all about?" He just sighs and explains due to a large number of you passing, we need to thin you out as there are a lot of important people we don't want to have them spending a couple of days while the fights are going on, so that being said is there anyone who doesn't feel that they're in top physical condition raise your hand and leave the building. The thoughts of everyone in the room well from the Chunin hopefuls talk about top physical condition, you look like you should be in a hospital well along those lines anyway. Meanwhile with the clan heads, senseis and Hokage. Anko spoke up we need to take him out of the exam she said, looking at the Hokage then Kakashi spoke up in his laid-back voice oh, and he is going to just up and walk out quietly, you forget he is part of the Uchiha clan, Anko who got mad and said you don't get it, the stronger he gets so too does the curse, because it is feeding off his chakra she said looking at Kakashi while clutching her neck. She then turned back and said Lord Hokage and waited for a response, then spoke to Anko let him compete, and then I will look at the seal, and I will perform an evil sealing technique that Orochimaru won't be able to break how does that sound he said in a grandfatherly tone to one of his ex-students. Then Kabuto raised his hand and said he wished to leave getting a dismissive wave he left. Looking around the room he said if no one else is bowing out the preliminaries will start immediately, please all leave to the balcony either side, and the fights will be one-on-one sudden death. He said between coughs. The Hokage spoke to Anko and the others around him haven't we seen him before not being the first time he has dropped out just before a fight what game is he playing at, Ibiki looked at Anko and said Anko. What oh yeah she said and flipped through her clipboard and found his name says here Kabuto Yakushi failed 6 times in a row, hearing this the Hokage turned his gaze upon her and said what do you have on his background? Well his time at the academy is not what you call impressive, average grades took 3 tries to pass the graduation exam, missions 2C rank and 14D ranks, he's not exactly a battle record to write home about over the Hokage just looked at her motioning for her to continue something before his time at the academy, do you remember the child the one that was found after the battle of Kikuo Pass the only survivor that's him. The Hokage thought a second before saying to the shadows behind him Sarah your team are to tail him and watch his every movement. High Lord heard and disappeared. Back with the contestants. Everyone started moving towards the balcony on the left side of the room were the sound and sand teams. The sound by the stairs and the sand by the statue holding the ram sign. On the right side closest to the statue was team 7 with their sensei, then it went teams 8, 9 and 10 and sensei in that order until the stairs. Sasuke vs Yoroi Akado. In the arena they stare each other down, then Heiei calls begin and jumps away Yoroi charges Sasuke and tackles with his hands, starting to glow with chakra as he starts to steal it from him, my chakra you're stealing it, how? Yoroi just laughs haha you're just noticing it now. Up in the stands. So his mark is still acting up. Thought Naruto worriedly, Kakashi was watching with interest, Sakura was worried about her teammate. The other Leaf teams were wondering how Sasuke was being beaten so easily and the sensei were thinking about the technique and the sand sound teams looked bored. In the arena. Sasuke still being held down by Yoroi haha you finally caught on huh. Sasuke on the other hand finds enough will and kick Yoroi off him saying get off of me. Yoroi getting up off the ground looks at Sasuke's form trying to stand and laughs, then engages Sasuke in Taijutsu attacking him, while Sasuke can only defend cause of the chakra drain I can't keep this up, I'm too drained of energy he thought to himself. In the stands. Gaara looks on is this all you have Sasuke Uchiha? In the arena. Sasuke looks up sees Rock Lee, giving him an idea, being re-engaged by Yoroi he uses his Lion's Barrage for the first time, which he partially copied from Lee's Front Lotus, kicking him into the air he appears behind him and kicks him in the side, sending him to the ground, and just before he hits the ground, Sasuke heel kicks him shouting Lion's Barrage. In the stands. Lee was angry that something he took months to learn was copied and learnt in mere hours and days by someone else. Everyone else looked shocked that he pulled it off. At this point Orochimaru Sound Jonin leaves the arena seeing Sasuke be taken by Kakashi to the med bay as none of the other fights were of any concern. Zaku Abumi vs Shino Aburam. When the names flashed up Zaku smirked and said which sucker is that? Heiei then told them to come forward, facing each other, Heiei reminded them of the rules. Telling them to begin. In the stands Hinata asks Kiba if Shino's going to be alright, are you kidding me next to Naruto he is the last person I want to fight, on the other side Dosu thinks well Zaku how you pull this one off will be a sight to see. Back with the fighters. Shino starts by saying if you fight me you won't be able to recover, forfeit and withdraw. Hey what do you know I got a little movement in one of them and that's all I need to beat you said Zaku before pulling one out of his sling and charging Shino, when close enough Shino blocks the attack going for his head, saying you won't beat me even with both your arms, he said in his calm monotone. Getting angry, Zaku shouts, slicing airwaves and nails Shino with the attack, creating a huge dust cloud around him. A minute later Shino comes out of the smoke, then a scurrying and clicking sound could be heard by all. Then Zaku sees bugs crawling out of him. What, he has bugs coming out of him like a human hive? This guy's a freak show. He then looks behind only to see the floor covered in bugs heading to attack him from behind, and Zaku unable to defend himself with only one arm as he is being attacked from both sides. Shino then gives him his options: forfeit or die. Zaku then pulls out both his arms and smirks. He is about to fire of his slicing airways attack, but it was too late. Shino's insects had already blocked the tubes in Zaku's arms, and with the building chakra he was wanting to use his arms blue, making him pass out. Seeing the fight over, Shino told him what he did, and Hei called him the winner. In the stands. Lee doesn't know what to think, so Niji finds out with his Byakugan and finds the bugs living inside him. Then Guy tells them about a secret clan of bug tamers living in the village. Gurenai sighed and thought, it is getting chilly in here. Asuma was talking to his gen and Sakura was off in her own little world. Sai was drawing, and Team 11 were pretty much doing the same thing as they were during Sasuke's fight. Misumi Tsurugi vs Kankuro. The board lit up again, and Hei called for Kankuro and Misumi to come forward. Baki warned not to underestimate, and Gaara thought he was an idiot. Hei told them to begin. Down in the arena facing off, Misumi speaks, I'm not like Yoroi, I don't get carried away even against kids. Word of advice: once I get into my jutsu, give up and defeat you painlessly, he says confidently. Kankuro humph and says, funny, I was going to say the same thing, but not sure about the painless part. Misumi attacks and gets Kankuro in his soft physique technique, holding him in a death grip. Then Kankuro revealed himself to be a puppet and used it to grab Misumi and reverse the death grip and squeeze the life out of him, thus ending the battle. Kankuro was revealed to be hiding in the bandages controlling the puppet. Kankuro winner. Sakura Haruno vs Ino Yamanaka. Hanan. Tenten vs Tamari. Tenten was wished luck by her teammates and other Leaf Shinobi, getting down onto the arena to meet Tamari, who was already there. After Hei called for the match to begin, the match was over quickly, as all the projectile weapons used by Tenten were completely countered by the wind release techniques used by Tamari, who won without taking as much as a single scratch. Kakashi sighed, she stood no chance, she should have either attacked with Taijutsu or thought of something other than throwing pointy weapons at her. Oh well, at least she has some potential. He got a nod from all those present. Even though Lee wasn't happy about the treatment of his teammate, he's still happy someone acknowledged his teammate's potential. Shikamaru Nara vs Kintsuchi. From the start, Shikamaru was aware that he was at a disadvantage, since Kin had seen him use his shadow imitation technique in the Forest of Death without showing her own fighting style. Deciding to get it over with, he sent his attack at Kin, who started dodging the shadow imitation technique and throwing senbon with and without bells, using strings to ring the bells from unexpected positions to divert Shikamaru's attention and attack him from behind. Shikamaru, however, after thinking for a minute, managed to join her shadow with his, using the shadows of the strings she was holding. With Kin matching Shikamaru's movements, each drew a shuriken and flung it at the other. When it came time for them to duck, Shikamaru ducked successfully, but Kin, having previously retreated, banged her head against the wall and knocked herself out, which turned out to be the true goal of Shikamaru's battle strategy. Shikamaru emerged as the winner. In the stands. Asuma, that genin of yours is certainly lazy, he didn't move once. Said Kakashi, replying, Asuma just said that's how he fights. Akio thought, along with the smarter people, very good strategy, using the terrain to your advantage. Hinata Hyuga vs Niji Hyuga. Hinata and Niji of the Hyuga clan battled. At the start, Niji assaulted Hinata psychologically, using her fears to convince her that she had no possibility of winning. Hinata decided to fight to prove that she could be strong in her father's and Naoko's eyes. They both charged and fought using the Hyuga gentle fist style and the Byakugan trading blow for blow. When asked what the Byakugan was, Kakashi explained it was a Kekkei Genkai, which is asserted to surpass the Sharingan. While people initially thought they seemed to be equally matched, Niji managed to interrupt Hinata's chakra flow in her arms, disabling her ability to use gentle fist. Hinata still tried to go on, and it was only the exam proctor's intervention that stopped Niji from killing her. At the end, but had to be carted off for immediate medical attention. Arasabaku vs Rock Lee. On getting to the middle, Lee sprouts off stuff about youth and springtime. At first, none of Rock Lee's taijutsu attacks managed to penetrate or circumvent Gaara's shield of sand. This went on for a couple of minutes until Guy shouted, Lee, take them off. Lee removed the weights he was wearing on his legs, creating huge craters in the ground, surprising everyone. Then Naruto voiced his thoughts to Yugasha, the kid's a monster. The boost of speed was such that Gaara's sand couldn't follow Lee's movements, repeatedly throwing punches and kicks at him. Then Gaara was hit for the first time in his life. However, Gaara was revealed to be using armor of sand to keep Lee's attacks from working on him. Realizing that his normal attacks will no longer work, Lee then used his front lotus on Gaara, but in the end it was revealed that it had been a sand clone. Having no other way to end the match, and with Guy's permission, Lee then opened 5 of the inner chakra gates, the result being that Lee's strength was multiplied immensely for a short time, but also severely injured him. In the stands, Kakashi explained the gates to everyone and what the adverse side effects were, which was met with incredulous looks. Then tells Guy off, but Guy argues back. Kurenai then turned to the conversation. Guy, there are reasons only a Senju and Uzumaki should use the gates. They have a higher bone and muscle density than most people. In the fight, Lee then proceeded to continuously beat Gaara with his reverse lotus. However, as Gaara fell to the ground, he dispersed his sand gourd as a cushion to break his fall. Gaara then used his sand binding coffin to crush Rock Lee's left arm and leg. Seeing that Gaara was going to finish Lee off, Guy jumped down to prevent Gaara from killing Lee. Guy then regretted having taught Lee how to open the inner gates after learning from the medical ninja that Lee could no longer be a ninja due to his intense injuries. Gaara won the match. Naruto for his part was getting bored. Dosu Kanuta vs Joji Akimichi. Jai Akimichi of Konohagakure's Team 10 vs Dosu Kanuta. Jai at first was reluctant to battle, instead wanting to forfeit, but after being promised food by his sensei, Asuma Sarutobi, if he won. Jai entered the battle with prior knowledge of Dosu's sound-based attacks and quickly used human bullet tank to plug his ears from the Odo ninja's attacks. However, Dosu overcame this by transmitting his sound through the water in Jai's body, thus defeating him. Biba Inuzuka vs Naruto Uzumaki Akami. Hearing his name be called out and looked at the board to see who he was fighting, only to groan, of all the people they put me against a person who is an all-out brawler man. Biba smirked and said, come on Akamaru, let's show him how much we have improved from the last time. They then jumped down to the middle of the arena and stood facing each other, and Naruto spoke, so shall we see who has the most power, the wolf or the hound? Yes, this fight will bring pride to our clans, whoever the winner is, said Kiba. Naruto then replied by tilting his head back and letting loose a howl, which was quickly replied with numerous other howls coming from the distance. Naruto then smirked and said, Otorikage is coming. In the stands. So it is your time to shine, Naruto, show them how powerful you are, mused Kakashi. Sorry Kakashi, but your medic boy doesn't stand a chance, not at all, thought Kurenai. They 8 then started to fight. The fight for Naruto at first was him dodging and blocking all of Kiba's attacks and firing off the odd Fukumi Hari or Hiratsuku Kasumi at him, which Kiba managed to dodge each time, but the fight started to deteriorate a little for Naruto, especially after Kiba's Ninkin Akamaru joined the fight and transformed into Kiba with a Jin Bunshin, which then involved them attacking from 2 different directions, pushing Naruto to the limit in his speed and dodging capabilities. He was dodging rather well until he lost track of Akamaru behind him, who using the Tsuga hit him square in the back while he was distracted by Kiba. Being hit by the attack, he was sent hurtling into the wall with a loud crash, causing dust to appear. When the dust cleared, everyone gasped as they saw the wound he suffered steam and close up before their very eyes. In the stands. Kakashi, what is this, how is he doing that, said Kurenai, worried now that even Kiba's strongest attack didn't even scratch him. Kakashi just chuckled and said, Naruto has a special ability, his chakra is like that of the first Hokages who was rumored to be able to heal any injury he sustained. You see, Naruto is just like that, it doesn't matter how many times Kiba hits him, he will just heal whatever damage he takes, and add to the fact he has perfect control over his huge reserves, he can keep up the ability near infinitely. He finished getting looks of shock from the people who didn't know about it. In the arena. Naruto got up and faced Kiba and said, oh, now you've done, you finally got my blood boiling, this is going to be fun, oh, and you should have finished me off because look who just showed up. And as if on K, an angry howl echoed in the room and out of the shadows stalked a pitch black wolf with sickly yellow eyes gazing around the room. Father. Who is my opponent you wish for me to fight? Smiling, he turned to his wolf buddy and said, Adoru, we fight together, he said as he crouched and intoned in his head Gijgnin. Shikyaku no Jutsu, making him go into his feral state like he was against Hana. Seeing his change due to the Jutsu, Kiba did the same Jutsu. And both parties charged each other, Adoru going for Akamaru and Naruto for Kiba. They fought in their Shikyaku state for 5 or so minutes before releasing it, showing everyone their various claw marks and lacerations. That was until Naruto's team shut. Seeing Kiba in a weakened state, Naruto did the hand signs Naseru Inu and then charged Kiba before lightly tapping him on the shoulder, confusing everyone until Kiba fell over. Trying to get up, Kiba would move his left hand and arm, but his left leg would move. Each time he would move a limb, a different one would move. Instead, getting annoyed, he growled out, what did you do to me, Naruto? Naruto walked over and crouched in front of him and said, it was a jutsu created by Lady Tsunade of the Sanin called Ranshinsho, or the body pathway derangement jutsu. What it does is, well, let me explain first. The human body is controlled with electrical signals from the brain, but a person who had those electrical signals cut off with this technique will become unable to make their body move as they want. By transforming the chakra within one's body and giving it the properties of electricity, one creates an electric field. As soon as a strike of the hand lands, electricity is poured into the enemy's nervous system, severing the signals and deranging their body control. The target's body moves in any way, except how they want it to move. For the common shinobi, battle, not to mention even just walking, will become impossible, he finished with a grin. Looking at Adoru, he saw that he was holding Akamaru by the scruff of the neck like a baby cub. Heiei then called the match in Naruto's favor. Naruto then activated his Shosen and undid his Ranshisho and healed all the major cuts and lacerations Kiba had before placing him in the care of his sensei. In the stands. That boy, no matter how many times I see him heal himself or use his jutsu with such proficiency and skill, it never ceases to amaze, said the elder Kage. Anko and Ibiki, who stood there, nodded. Kakashi, who then spoke, interesting, not once since the forming of the team have I seen him go to that level and actually fight head-on, he said, amazed at the firepower he had. He's a medic, he shouldn't be skilled in fighting up front, the only medic who I know would be Lady Tsunade, said a shocked Kurenai. But the end of that match, the third and leaders reappeared in the arena and called the winners to the middle. When they gathered, Hiruzen spoke, you have fought well with most fighting honor and dignity, you have done your villages proud, now Anko is going to come by with a box with numbers in it, you are to draw one and wait, Anko. Anko walked by and let each person take a number. At the end she said, please announce your number so we can pair you up for the finals in a month. Naruto vs Neji. Shikamaru vs Tamari. Shino vs Kankuro. Ara vs Asuke. Osu vs winner of match 1. What if Godlike Wolf Naruto and Hana end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.